Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. I am joined by the awesome AFK Bard and Chris Knight, which, as you can see, he is on the road saluting, and he's going to be doing what he needs to do. And Marissa will hopefully be with us. She said she will, or I told her to come in when she is able. No big rush. And we have a nice chat going right here. Vanja Kostyuk, it's good to see you again. Hopefully, or make sure to share the stream out. Also, make sure to smash that like button, folks. And MJ1 Media hopefully will be joining if we go past 9:30. And that might happen, that might not, all depends. But yeah, we are going to be discussing Terminator Genisys, the 5th Terminator movie out there. And honestly, it's one that I prefer, but I can still acknowledge it wasn't the best done, so to speak.
I'm not going to lie. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm not going to lie that was a summer of, I don't know what was going on, but I remember that Jurassic World came out around the same time, and they were just the two movies that were just like of any interest. And I have to apologize, but I actually really, really, really enjoyed Genisys. I know it's horrible in a lot of aspects, but I loved it so much. I probably watched it about 5 times in the theater. Yeah. So
yeah,
there you go.
I appreciate. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I appreciate the fact that this movie attempted to break from the norm of what Terminator was. Terminator 1, 2, and 3 pretty much kept the generic idea at heart. There were changes, dates changes. We've talked about all that stuff before. But Genisys literally said, let's really screw with this. And Salvation helped that happen, because in Salvation, like we talked about, you have the one that is a human Terminator hybrid. So when you see what they do in this movie, it's like, ooh, that's kind of cool that they're doing that. Now, I know a lot of people had a problem because of who they did it to, but I didn't. Yeah. I was like, okay, it makes sense, because it doesn't fundamentally change what happens. He still sends Kyle back. We get it. I know it's hard to do, but when a movie does it right, I really appreciate it, and we really do see a really good, like, shot for shot redo to a certain extent, because then it does have the difference with the other Terminator, but a shot for shot redo of the first movie, and it's done pretty well. If you look at the original movie and you look at this movie, it's really done well, and I really appreciate that about this movie. There are plenty of things that aren't right in this movie, but it doesn't take you away from it. At heart, a good movie, and the people who came up with the idea, I think they're hard for the right place with it.
Oh yeah, this was a good way of basically hitting the reset button, so to speak, to see how they could actually do something different, but also keep it within the heart of the Terminator franchise. And you are absolutely right, Chris. This movie does do a good shot-for-shot comparison with the original Terminator when 101 is sent back.
Oh, even up until the Bill Paxton part.
Yeah.
That looked awesome.
I mean, the punks didn't look right, but how are you going to... But the thing is, how are you going to actually get them... Yeah.
My biggest problem with this movie is that... my biggest problem with this movie is that they could have found somebody that looked a little more like Michael Biehn from the original Terminator. They could have,
Yeah.
but I'm okay. I like Jack Courtney a lot. He does a good job in this movie, so
Yeah.
I was okay with it. I just think if you're going to do it, I would have picked somebody different, only on the sheer fact that he just enough of a person who looks different enough that you know it kind of took away from it a little bit.
Yeah. And Vanja is actually quite right. A lot of the gripes that a lot of Terminator fans that I've talked to did say that Terminator Genisys was one of the weaker ones. Also, the movie or the trailers revealed way too much. And
yeah, I forgot about that.
I am going to agree with that. Now, getting into this, the movie stars Arnold, Jason Clarke, Emilia Clarke, I wonder if they're related, Jai Courtney, J.K. Simmons, Byung-Hun Lee from, at the time, he was famous for playing Storm Shadow in the G.I. Joe movie. And controversial, Robert Patrick is also in this movie. Well, said to be in this movie. A lot of people and fans of the Terminator franchise say he's not in the movie. He even confirmed it on Twitter and whatnot. And he's like, no, that's not me, man. And I'm like, well, they also said that, I mean, the director and the audio commentary also says that's you, dude. Plus, you're credited to being in the movie on IMDb and other. So, now, could it actually be that he may have been kind of ashamed and didn't really want to admit to being in a very, what he would perceive as a bad Terminator movie? Maybe. But you never really know. That guy in the waiting room, he does look very much like Robert Patrick. Pretty much a spit and image, could be a friggin' clone of him. So, how many people out there can honestly say they look like Robert Patrick? But anyway, also they did approach Robert Patrick and ask if he wanted to be used as a digital face or digital replacement for a T-1000. But
Honest
instead,
to God. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, honest to God, I really think that's the one thing missing from all these Terminator movies, is that they need to get him back in, even if it's digitally done. I mean,
yeah.
Imagine if you were to throw 3 or 4 Terminators. You throw in the original T100 or T100 or 300.
T800.
800. Thank you. Oh God. Anyways, so you throw that in. You throw in the T2 one. You throw him in, and then either Christiana Loken or I don't know. I mean, if you were to take something, I don't know, like a time paradox one. If you want to end this whole series, if somebody wants to take this series seriously, you can give us 2 movies, 2 parts, 4 hours worth of a movie. Throw all of these back in there, where it's a final paradox of time that converges someplace.
Well, that's the thing.
And then you end it.
This movie like actually ties it in a bow. That's the thing. It's like you could actually use this movie and end it all, and it's actually on an up note, kind of like Terminator 2.
Yeah. In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
So then we get to the narration of Kyle Reese, and he's explaining how Judgment Day happened, or what Judgment Day was for him. For him, it was how his parents told him about the world before the bombs fell, and then he grew up after. And we see that, or the scene of him going through the tunnels, avoiding the HKs, and I like how they went back to the original models, and you see him and how they were coming up with new Terminators, and you see him in the sewer, and then you see those eyes behind, and I'm like, that's not a Terminator. I don't know what it is, but it's not a T-800 because the eyes were white, and I'm like, what could it be? It's a doggy. It's a nice little cute little German Shepherd. And then the dog starts barking. We get introduced to a T-800 coming in, speaking. Are there anybody else down here or others down here and whatnot? And so then John Connor saves him. And I like how they introduced the future war, where they showed the purple lasers, because that's what we need more of if they're going to make a Terminator movie. Now, again, I did a video back in November 2019 of how I would do or how I would continue the Terminator franchise. And it would involve Sarah and John, Sarah Connor, and I will have to do an update of that video, like create an update of how I would do it, because I have more information of how I would do it. And Sarah would actually be alive in the future war, but she would die shortly before, or she would actually die during the rescue of the humans from one of the camps that Kyle Reese actually was in, so he wouldn't meet her.
Interesting.
It would be a full circle event. It would have 2 sequels, and at the end of the first sequel, Kyle Reese would actually be freed. John would save him, but Sarah Connor would die during that time, just before they got him out.
Interesting idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll discuss. I mean, we could definitely put up our after the Dark Fate discussion in 2 weeks. I'm thinking about either doing another stream before I begin the next series of how would we do a sequel to T2. I mean, that might actually be a full, to where we could all toss around ideas of what we could do to make an actual sequel to T2 that works, you know?
Sarah Connor
I'm up for that.
Chronicles.
I like the idea.
Even that one had problems.
It would not that.
But yeah. All right. But anyway, so we then see how John Connor is leading or breaking out people from the camps, and how people whisper that he's a prophet, or and how he could know so much. And then they get up on the final assault against the Colorado Initiative, where apparently Skynet is, well, based in Colorado, I'm guessing.
It's taking over NORAD.
Or yeah. Well, there you go.
But who tracked Santa?
Yep. So
NORAD. At one time, NORAD was a central command. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Kyle wants to join that assault, and he's like, "I need you here with me, Reese." And Reese doesn't know this, but he's like, "Yeah, he does need you there with him, because he already knows that he's going to have to send you back." What they didn't show, but did change, because this does kind of hit the flip or the switch, or flipping the switch of the reset button. I really wish they did get ready to send a second or Uncle Bob back, but they didn't. So, because Skynet did send 2 Terminators, they should have activated Prototype 1000. But unfortunately, that didn't play into this one. So I do like that when they are doing the offensive, and when after he gives his speech, and during his speech, they're going through the offensive, and as they're doing it, you see the second the scanning lasers crosses the T-800 in the truck, or you hear a little whine of an alarm kind of thing, and the T-800 does a scan, and it says non-functional. So immediately they start shooting at it. That, to me, was actually, it's completely fitting, because logic would dictate, if this thing is non-functional, how did it get here? Okay, there's a threat. destroy it, terminate it.
Yeah.
So it's pure, actual, nice logic that they did do. Didn't like the shiny teeth on T800s. Yeah, I mean, that is another thing. What they should have done was T800s that didn't get skin, they should have actually had chrome teeth, where the T800s that they are sending back or putting tissue on, they should put whatever teeth they can manufacture or paint over or whatever would work, you know?
I think it'd be super creepy if you saw the robot versions of them with human teeth, like they just came that way. How awesome would that
Yeah.
be?
I know, right? But yeah, Sacnorad, yeah. And so as they're doing it, you hear perimeter breach activate model 101. And you also see that there's like a million of them because you only see his legs and you see like a bunch of them in back in cold storage. And I'm like, okay. And then you see the Terminator going into the time displacement. They're cutting back to the war, back to the time displacement where he kneels down and puts his head down. They literally shut down when they get sent back, and then they activate because there's like a 5 second, or there's a 5 second go offline and 5 second reboot. Basically, is what they do because time displacement would set you back, and then take a 5 minute beat, and that's when they start standing. And that's basically how it kind of is explained in the T3 game, because literally he shuts himself down and then he's sent back, and then you see him stand up, and it's like literally 5 seconds for them, you know. So then all the machines just start dying and falling from the sky, and the Terminators in HK start going offline. Colorado unit has succeeded. Skynet Central Core has been destroyed. And Connor's like, they're using the weapon. We got to get into the hangar. Well, I do like how they get up there. Like, we found it, sir, just like you said it would be. That's a nice little call out to T Salvation, like the guy said, T800, like you said it would be. And Kyle asks him, what is it? And he actually gives a very good answer. Fate.
Nice.
It's the first tactical time weapon, and Skynet just used it. So then they're like, we're pulling up the data right now, sir. We should have coordinates for you very shortly. May 1984, or Los Angeles, 1984. Los Angeles, May 12th, 1984. Everybody looks at John. It's like, God damn it, he did it again. Oh, sorry if I'm too loud for you, Chris. Didn't mean to bug your ear.
No. I was listening for something else. No, you're fine. No, you're perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. You were talking about the whole sending the two Terminators back and stuff. This again lends my belief that again we're always dealing with different time, different places in time, because there are those small changes, and it's not just from the ones that Carpenter didn't do; it's from all of them.
Yep.
So that's the thing. So, all right, sorry.
Yep. So then he explains it. Skynet knew it was losing, so it tried to rig the game. It sent a Terminator back to a time before the war. Well, then who's the target? My mother, Sarah Connor. If Skynet succeeds, I'll never be born, and this war will and there won't be a resistance. Well, actually, there might be a resistance. There just won't be a John Connor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is because, as he actually explains later on, time has a way of writing itself. Like, I always survive and you always die. He says that to Kyle later on in the film. So it's like, well, time has a way of righting itself. Like, there's going to be a resistance and it will stop Skynet. So Skynet is basically, yes, it's trying to stop it. It's operating on logic alone. Now, one of the things I wish they had kind of done was shown that there was the Matt Smith Skynet character at the Resistance headquarters to show that he was a person, but then suddenly he is kind of slightly acting differently. That would have been good.
They don't. I think his introduction in this movie, and again, he has a very, very small part.
Yeah.
It's not done well, really. I mean, I can't. There's no other way to say it. That I'm okay with what they did. It's just, but it doesn't work as well as it could have had you like had him there at when they're talking about what they're going to do, the offensive, what they're going to, the plan. If he was there the whole time and said things like, "Oh, we should try this," or this is what they show, or like if he was like one rank or two below John Connor, but close enough that he was working with the plan. Because then what it is look, Skynet's leading him down this road because it knows this is going to happen. So maybe if it stays close, again, keep your enemies close. If they had just given a couple more scenes, maybe a total of like 7 minutes with him in it, and talking and planning and then do that, that would have been such a great foil and like, oh my God, look, oh wow, and it would have blown our minds probably. But they don't do it well enough. And that is my one big gripe I do have with this movie.
I mean, it would have even been good to see one person or a person that Matt Smith could have been a resistance fighter, and then suddenly they lost contact with him, and then he suddenly came back. It's like, sorry, I got hung up. There was a Terminator that I had to kind of shoot down. I was having trouble with. But that during that time that he went missing, that could have been when Skynet or the T-5000, which is Skynet, could have taken him and assumed his form. So one of the things I do like about this scene when he's talking with John and Kyle actually volunteers because everybody else is volunteering. John actually asks him up front, why should I send you over all of them? Because I'd die for Sarah Connor. All these people would die for Sarah Connor. What makes you different? He's testing Kyle. He knows he already made the decision, but he wants to make sure Kyle's reason for going back is going to fit in line with him being conceived. And he's like, you know why? All the things you told me, I know her, John. Let me save her.
Am I the only person that thinks Christian Bale would have been much better suited for this part again?
Yeah, I honestly agree there. I mean, Jason Clarke is a good villainous character, but the best older John Connor was Christian Bale, hands down.
I mean, and Christian could have picked. Listen, Christian Bale's a great actor. He's such a method actor that if you had given him the script and said, okay, we want you to take up your part just like you were at the end of Salvation. It's going to be a little bit longer, a little bit later. We want you to do it. You're gonna be the leader now, and you're gonna know exactly where you got to go. They could have written in some of what happened in Salvation.
Yep.
And think about it. Then even the part where he's taken over by Skynet, which is now making him this human Terminator hybrid.
Yep.
Perfect. I mean, and again, you said it best. He and the guy they got for the in 1 and 2, it was fine. I liked him, but as far as a guy to pick the older John Connor and actually act, Christian Bale was excellent. And then I hated what they did in 3 because I just think putting the age makeup on somebody, that looked horrid. That's like the worst one of them all. But Christian Bale, would have knocked this out of the park. And I don't know, maybe they didn't go because, since then he had he blew up on set and all that stuff. Maybe they just felt like they didn't want to go back to him.
Yeah.
But, man, that's another thing. That was another miss on this part. But you're right. Jason Clarke's very good. He does a great job with the part. It's just, again, much like Jack Courtney, you look at him and you're like, not quite.
I'm not seeing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
it's like I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. Okay, give me just a second. I'm back home. I'm going to go downstairs and get on the computer.
Okie dokie. We'll see you in a few. So, while we wait for Chris to get back, we are going to, it's like, what would be a good way to pass the time?
Oh, boy.
I'll be back. Okay. And Vanja will be back. So we got 2 others watching. If you're watching, feel free to say hello. We always enjoy more people coming in.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I gotta say, on account of the trailers, that was something we had brought up.
Yeah.
That was a real annoyance for me because I'm one of those people where I hate spoilers. And there was I swear there was a sweet spot because if you go back, I never realized this, but almost every single movie trailer in the 90s basically tells you the entire story. But there was a sweet spot between that and recently where I swear the trailers would intrigue you, give you just enough to get you to want to see it, and then they wouldn't show anything,
Well, they give you everything out of context, where nowadays they're basically giving you the whole damn story in the freaking trailers.
Yeah, what would be more interesting? Literally, the editing of that scene could have been great if it's basically it shows them in the parking garage. You hear him say "mom" or something. They turn and go, "John, how are you here?" And then cut right there, because then people would be like, "Oh, why is John there?" And then that's a perfect way to hook them without telling you why he's there.
Yeah.
Or
what they could have done was every time they showed the T-3000, which was John, just show it in his or in the 3000 Terminator look, where it looks like a skeletal body with some muscle. Because honestly, when I saw the trailer of that thing walking forward, I thought that was the core look of a T-1000 at first. Hey, Soul Assassin, good to see you. And we got a fucking mosquito in here. Son of a gun.
That sucks.
Yeah, and I'm in the dark up in my room right now, so that's why my camera's not on.
Oh, man.
So it's going. There we go. I think I got it. Nope, I missed it. And go onto my bigger computer screen. Yes, thank you. And die. There, it's dead. Because I didn't want to touch my Kindle because, well, if I touch that, I could accidentally kill the stream.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah. So, yeah, if they would have just stuck with showing the T-3000, like it's on fire and turning out, and then cut, showing it another later on, then cut, not showing John Connor as the villain, and keeping the damn posters away from showing John Connor as the villain, it would have been great. It would have been like, ooh, what's this new villain type,
Yeah, it's true.
It would have just been so much better.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand. I mean, I would guess that it's obviously the people trying to push the movie where they're like, we gotta put cool things in the trailer and everything, and let's put basically a clip from every single fight scene in the trailer, and it's just like there's no one with an actual brain deciding what to put in the trailer,
I mean, I could cut or it's like, give me a movie or show me the movie. Okay, we're gonna take this. We'll take this. We will take this. And this and this and this. We got a trailer. Okay, well then what are you gonna do? Okay, we're gonna take 5 of the scenes or 5 of the snippets that we put in the first trailer. We're gonna put it in the second trailer. Okay, we're gonna take this. We're going to take this. I'm not going to show everybody the full shit. We're not going, or we're going to do some clever cutting. That is how you do a great trailer. You don't go Godzilla King of the Monsters where you basically show every freaking scene of the monsters in the damn movie and put it in the trailer. That is why that movie did not do well, because they literally the marketing for Godzilla King of the Monsters, as much as I love that movie, was horrible. They showed all the sweet spots.
I think the technology today makes it even worse, because back in the day, you could probably get away with showing a bunch of crazy stuff in the trailer because people didn't have the internet to basically, like, frame by frame analyze what you see. Like, people used to be able, like, oh, did you see that? And be like, no, was that in the trailer? I'll go back and watch. And
well, what they need to do is clever editing, meaning don't show if you want to show something, don't show the completed CGI.
Yep. Or what is kind of a annoyance to me, but also kind of clever, is when you actually film scenes slightly differently. Like a Thor Ragnarok. One of the things that I actually really thought was cool was that they cover up the fact that he loses his eye. By just
I
editing
remember
the
how
trailer.
they did that.
And it was great because when it happens, you go, holy, like you don't have that knowledge beforehand, and just that alone can fix a movie,
Yep, indeed.
Brains.
And well, that's the thing. I will give this to Marvel. They do know how to do some trailers. Like with Endgame, how they cut certain people out of the certain scenes, where they took certain people out of scenes so that you wouldn't know that they were in it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to spoil Professor Hulk, so they took Professor Hulk out of that scene of them walking up to their time machine. They took out Pepper Potts from being in one of the scenes where they were all looking up at the sky. And other things too, and it's like they did that well.
Yeah, that's true. But hey, I guess that was just like the heyday.
It was just horrible.
Yeah, it really did break the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, and I should bring it up too. It's like casting, right? I think the problem with the more and more popular actors is that when you cast them in roles that would either be like innocuous or like things that you wouldn't think of, people immediately know that role is going to be bigger than it is. Like Matt Smith playing the living embodiment of Skynet or whatever. Like, people who watch the British television know how popular he is, and it's like, okay, well, he's obviously going to be important. So to a level, there's no surprise when he does something out of the ordinary.
Yep. I mean, when they said Jason Clarke is going to be John Connor, I'm like, why is he going to be a villain though?
Yeah.
That was the first thought when I heard about it. I'm like, he's going to be a villain. Jason Clarke does villains very well. He's typecast. Emilia Clarke, she looks great as Sarah, or as a younger Sarah. I mean, sure, she doesn't look 100% like what's her name, but she also, or Linda Hamilton, but she also does kind of have the right body type and body shape.
Yeah.
Because she does kind of have the same, breast size as Linda Hamilton. And it's like,
I think a lot of people compare her based off of their idea of Linda Hamilton in the second Terminator movie. Because, like, in the first one, she's very waifish. Like, she doesn't have,
she's vulnerable. She's not a warrior.
Yeah.
But it's because of the change where it's like, we get Linda Hamilton in the Terminator 1 setting, but this is Terminator 2 Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
And Chris is back.
Hey, man.
Hello. Sorry.
He told you he'd be back.
Yes, I'd be back. Yeah, but to your point on this, she works pretty well as a stand-in for Linda Hamilton, and they do a good job to go back and explain why she's more like T2 than T1.
Yep.
So they give plenty of explanation for that. I don't mind Amelia Clark for this. And she's very easy on the eyes. She is very easy on the eyes.
Yep. Yeah. So we didn't go any further into the story yet. So
okay, I'm so sorry it took you so long.
Talking about, hey, it's okay, man. Wish that Marissa would also join us, but yeah, you win some, you lose some. So now, I like the score, how they did the score for when Kyle is going into the machine to go back through time. Also, if you pay attention to the actress who's telling him, we've measured the magnetics, you can't, or it will rip apart anything not encased in living tissue. When she says, oh yeah, no clothes either. And then she looks down, it's like, yeah, she wants to smash that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it'd be hard for any warm-blooded, straight female, I think, to look at Jai Courtney and think, yeah, I don't want to bang that. Yeah. No, he's a specimen. What can I say?
Yep. And so
he's awesome.
Yep. Anyway,
I mean, I'm not saying that in a way. I'm not saying that in a way that. I mean, I like Jai Courtney as an actor, but just like I said with Amelia Clark, I can see why. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say, "Oh no, I don't get that at all." No, I get it. I just don't feel the same way. I just like him as an actor.
Yeah.
But I think that's why they put him and Amelia Clark in this.
You want to know why they cast Jai Courtney? It's because he actually was doing action roles like the Die Hard movies or the last Die Hard movie. Also, he was the only actor that, this is speculation that I heard, he was the only actor that was willing to get naked and get thrown onto the ground.
I heard something about that too.
It's like, dude, you are the only, or you're willing to be buck naked and just get thrown onto concrete. You are hire this man more often.
Well, I mean, if you pay me enough, I'd do it too, right? Like at the end of the day. Yeah. But that's pretty, I would say ballsy of him. But no, he's a cool dude. Man.
Soul Assassin pretty much said it. Instead of dragon, she's the mother of Terminators.
Oh, hey, there you go.
Too much body fat and muscle. Yep.
I think they did a very good job. Well, they established in like Terminator 2 that like they can learn on their own once they're like on their own basically, and they pick up stuff and like mannerisms. And so I like that this Terminator, even though like he still Arnold still plays him as a Terminator, there's actually like a softness about him, but in still the cyborg kind of way. But you can tell that he has a paternal like he's learned to act like in a paternal way around her, which I thought was really cool because he's not like lovey-dovey, but he's also gentle.
Later on, you actually understand that he is more of a humanized Terminator, but we will get to that when we get to that moment. That's okay. And so as the time displacement is starting to activate and the sphere is forming, that is when you see Matt Smith go up and just grab him, and it's like, you didn't think it would be that easy, did you? And you see how something is going into John, and it's like, oh shit, what the hell happened here? And when I first saw that, because I saw it on Blu-ray because I didn't get to see it in theaters because shit happened. And I'm like, who is this? Why are they focusing on this guy? Oh, shit. He was already showed earlier when Kyle Reese was walking by. they actually focus in on him a little bit. I'm like, who's this guy? Oh, it's him. Okay, yep, that makes sense. So this is what causes a nexus point, or what causes a crisis nexus point, where a nexus point is a time in or time and space of so importance that it gives rise, or that if it is slightly changed in any way, it gives rise to a vastly different future or past. So, because Skynet literally traveled from a further future into the future that our future, but its past, it wanted to make sure that it would have a different time to mess with. Because the T-5000 was theorized to have come from like 10 years further into the future, or even further than that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of theories. There's a theory that I'll get to you later in this that's gonna be like, whoa, what?
Say that again, though. The theory about
the
say that.
Skynet theory.
Mm-hmm.
There's a theory that because he says to John Connor, "I came a long way to stop you."
Oh yeah,
and
that's right. Yeah,
it's theorized that he came, or that he traveled back to this point to stop John Connor from stopping Skynet itself.
Mm-hmm.
So he sends, or we then get Kyle back. We also see the Terminator arrive, and the one difference between the Terminator movie and this Terminator arrival is that there is a crater. In the in the original Terminator, he's not in a crater.
No.
Or a small crater. But they wanted to show that, and they did a pretty good job. Like you said, shot for shot, they did a pretty good damn job. You can go onto YouTube and see the comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the digital Arnold face was not 100% perfect, but you're not going to get that either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they wanted to, they could have easily just freaking taken the shots from the original Terminator, paid a little bit extra more money to actually insert those shots, upgrade them digitally, smudge out his butt so they don't get a nudity problem, and there you go. But they didn't. They decided this would actually be or we'll have to do things a little differently. So then you get the scene where Kyle arrives. They got everything down, even to the fucking dog. The dog that runs out of the alley. Now,
the homeless person says, I think he says the same thing, though. Well, no, not at first. Thing. Yeah, but he said he does. To himself,
but he does say, "Hey, man, you see a real bright light?"
Bright light. Yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm. That's what he says, or that's the thing that they managed to keep. But also a difference between Michael Bihn's arrival. He arrives further down the alley because he actually has to run up to the homeless guy and sees that he has pants and whatnot. Where Kyle Reese, he drops right in front of the guy. He actually has to run up to the homeless guy.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, that's my side of things. Sorry,
That's
I fixed
it. It's okay. So then we get the cool freaking face off between T-800 versus T-800, and I love that. It's like, hey, fuck you, asshole! Your clothes, give them to me now. And then we get the PG-13 1, fuck you, asshole, and you won't be needing any clothes. Now, if you pay attention to that Terminator, it's almost like, am I hearing my own voice? It turned around with a kind of annoyed look on its face. And then you see it slightly turn its head down to basically give you the gesture that, okay, I'm going to have to scan this thing. Mm-hmm. And it scans T-800 Remington shotgun. And when it says, or then you hear the Guardian, because that's actually what they market him as, the Guardian, before they market him as Pops.
Yeah.
you hear him say, "I've been waiting for you." Hostile intent, so the Terminator obviously charges him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those who do pay attention to movie mistakes and whatnot, if you do pay attention to the scene as he's cocking after each shot, you actually see that you hear a cocking noise, but he didn't move his hand to cock the weapon.
Wow.
And then,
he's that
but
epic.
it's a little mistake, but it's like I still noticed it. Damn it!
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
I wonder if he watched Army of Darkness back in the day, because then he could be like, "This is my boomstick."
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So then we get the hand-to-hand with I love how he busts the shotgun right in the freaking T-800's face, dude. I played this scene for scene, and that is some tight CGI that they did. They took every frame is digital Arnie to keep it so it doesn't slip and whatnot. They did it very well. And then he hits him, and then the Terminator hits Pops. They basically are doing the same hit for hit, and it's like, oh shit. But then the T-800 actually gets a hand up on Pops, smacking him against a tree thing, and then slamming him on the ground. And we see somebody running with a huge gun case. And a lot of people they're like, did the Barrett 50 cal even exist back in 1984? And I'm like, oh, let me look it up. Oh, yeah, actually did. It was designed in 1980, and it was put into production in 1982. So, yes, the 50 BMG that she uses to shoot this Terminator exists back then.
Indeed.
Now, those bullets, I'm not so sure of, because those bullets actually look like they were made of hyperalloy, or made of a hyperalloy like the Terminator. But, if only seen this movie once, so I don't remember much. Okay, that's okay. Soul Assassin. We'll go over it in detail. But anyway, I do like how it smacks the Terminator with the observant, or the big thing that it gets knocked off of. And so it takes off a hefty chunk of flesh. Even if that Terminator was successful and it managed to kill Pops and Sarah wasn't there, it is now fully compromised. It can't hide.
Yeah.
Because its face just basically got a lot of its flesh torn off from that one smack alone. Now, when it hit him in the other side of the face, it should have torn off a little bit more, but it didn't. So then as it kicks Pops, you now see that when it grabbed Pop's hand the first time and twisted its arm, that was actually the damage that causes Pops to have the glitch in his hand.
Oh.
A lot of people are saying that's because he's getting old. It's like, no. It's because he didn't get the proper maintenance to fix that. That hand was his dominant hand, and he kept on getting it messed up in 1984. So that's why it was glitching a lot in the future. So then we get Sarah blowing a hole through the Terminator, and we get the call back to T2, thumbs up. Hey, JM 2021, good to see you, man. I like Amelia Clark, but she's not Sarah Connor, not by any stretch as close to Linda Hamilton. Nobody will get as close to Linda Hamilton.
No.
Nobody. How easy will a 50 cal, or to get a 50 cal in 1985? Actually, 1984, and most likely it was not easy to get, but I'm pretty sure that they could easily acquire it.
If Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Terminator walks into a weapons store, he's going to get what he wants.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, don't care much about Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese either. I hear you, man. Not a lot of people did. The casting in this movie was not as good as it could have been. So
it kind of feels like they ran an algorithm on like the most like popular at the time actor and actress, and then it just
yes,
like popped up these two, and the casting was like, oh, we have to get them.
yeah.
Because it's like they're not bad actors. It's just like it's such an odd choice.
Somebody should.
They were
look up
very
if
much the, it's the product. I think this is about a year, like season 2 or 3 of Game of Thrones, isn't it? And
yeah.
then Jai Courtney, like you said, was in like literally, he was in
Suicide
what was it?
Squad.
Well, he was in Suicide Squad. He was in trying to think the dystopian future one, like Hunger Games, not Hunger Games.
Thunder Rosa, Fury Road, or whatever. Or
well, he was he in Heart of Mad Max? No, I'm thinking of.
Wasn't he the main dude in that one?
No, that was Tom Hardy. Okay. I'm gonna kill myself. There were 3 books. Insurgent. That's it. Insurgent. Divergent. That's it. That Divergent was the first one. Then Insurgent. And then there was a third one. He was in those. And I think he was in the first 2 of those. I mean, he was just in a bunch of different stuff all at one time. And that translates to your hot ticket. And in Hollywood, and this is part of the reason why Hollywood sucks right now, is that when they're hot, it's literally ride the pony until it's dead.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of escaped that. He's kind of realized I need to kind of pull back. I don't like what happened in the new Suicide Squad, but I like the fact that when he got the call and they said what he was going to do, he's like, you know what? People liked my character in the last one. The least I can do is show up for this one.
Oh my God, that was him. That was the Boomerang guy, right?
Yep.
Captain Boomerang. I love him, though. He's perfect for it.
Yeah, I like his character. I just totally blanked on the fact that was Jai Courtney. He
was also in Alita Battle Angel.
Yes.
Wait. Oh, was he that crazy dude?
No, he was Josh again. He was one of the motorball guys that Alita was watching.
Oh, okay. He gets
He's
around.
uncredited, according to IMDb, and which is true. He is uncredited. So now we get to the police showing up and flashing a light on Kyle Reese. And Kyle Reese obviously does a run, and we automatically know it's different because it's not a black cop chasing him. And it's instead Byung-Hun Lee. And it's like, okay, small differences here.
I like to think that little ripple in, time by just a second or two caused the other Terminator to bump into an Asian cop instead.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like his partner went into the bathroom just like a little too soon or something.
Yeah, butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Anita, Battle Angel, still a great movie. Alita, but yeah, I know what you meant, buddy. And yes, it is still a good movie. Now, so then we get him. He's like, what day is it? What year? May 12th, 1984, the day you arrive. And I was like, oh, shit. So, arm blade, and it actually does cut him because a lot of people are wondering how is it that it was able to mimic him later on. It has to have physical contact.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it actually did cut him, if you pay attention, across the chest. It was the tiniest touch, but it still was enough.
Nice. Good detail.
Yeah, and I also, if you pay attention to this T-1000's sword arms and Robert Patrick's sword arms, T-1000, they're different blades. They're remarkably different blades. or Bjorn Hans is more of a Asian style blade, where the arm blade that Robert Patrick's T-1000 used was actually more shaped after a sword or a kitchen knife, just supersized. So anyway, we get the nice parallels between the Michael Biehn arrival and the Jai Courtney inside the store, where he's crawling on the ground, he's checking his feet, he gets in, he does the whole lacing with the Nike, and that's where it ends because the T-1000 knew he was in there and almost killed him. Now, a lot of people don't see this, but when he dives out of that dressing room, you can actually see the T-1000's legs, and it's like, good, making sure that he's still there. Okay, good. And so then he goes down, runs into two cops, knocks one guy down because he's a solid specimen, as AFK pointed out. And the guy's like, okay, that freaking hurt. And O'Brien, the rookie, who is ready to shoot the dude, he's like, hands on your head or I will shoot. Okay, time to knock him down and cuff him before this idiot shoots a homeless guy, you know? And then you see the T-1000 crawling out of the mirror, and I'm like, yeah, that works. That is actually pretty cool. How did it get downstairs? Can anybody ask me how that thing got downstairs, or answer how that thing got downstairs without anybody noticing?
Transportation, like like Star Trek, just beaming.
Scotty. Yeah.
Particle transference.
Well, it could have easily crawled or slithered from the chrome on the elevator, but having to transfer all the way over to the reflective thing of the mirror, that would, or I mean, only if they were focused on the guy would they not have noticed anything. But somebody would have noticed a liquid or some sort of mass moving around, you know? But anyway, I like how it came out of the mirror. That was pretty cool. And then it stabs dude. And it's like, get these cuffs off me. No, you're under arrest. What part of kills humans do you not understand? And so then we get Sarah driving through. And if you pay attention, when the T-1000 gets hit, if you slow the frames down, you see the part of the T-1000 break off on the vehicle. So that's how you see the polyalloy disguising itself into the truck. And I love how she's also using a 50 cal Desert Eagle. Come with me if you want to live. The only problem is she's blinking all that while she's firing that thing, and it's not the most appealing look to her. But I do like how she turned the whole damn T-1000 around as she's shooting it, spinning it around because of the 50 cal bullets. And so you also see the polyalloy form into one of the hinges of the door to the ambulance. And then she's like, "Gosh," and then they explain, and then you see the Terminator that they was sent back. This is another gripe of a lot of people, the nose controversy. The puppet Terminator that they had didn't have its nose, where when it was back online and it got shut down, it still had its nose. Did anybody else know or notice the nose traversy?
I had no idea it existed. It's not.
No, I did not. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, or if you actually pay attention and whatnot, it is there. the nose controversy, and it's like I noticed it the first time. I'm like, where the hell is its nose? What the hell happened to it? Why is its nose gone?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, wait, this thing got react. Its nose is back.
Yeah.
I mean, you can actually. I think they actually do have things on YouTube. It's like the nose controversy of Terminator Genisys. So I'm waiting for Minty to actually do a 10 things you didn't know about Terminator Genisys. That would be cool. I'm willing to bet that would be one of the facts or 10 things you didn't know. The nose controversy.
Yeah.
But so then you see Pops stand up, and obviously Reese freaks out, so Pops has to knock him out. And I love it. I did not kill him. It's like, yeah, what do you want? A biscuit for being a good Terminator?
Yeah.
Terminator had a Jackson phase with the nose. Nice. And so they're like, okay, well, we don't have long before the T-1000 requires us. Arguing with Val Reese puts us at a strategic disadvantage. Bite me. That is a very immature response. So you get that he's a little fatherly, you know? That's your first group. That is a very immature response. It's like a normal T-800 wouldn't have responded to that. But so then we get another spin of memory with Kyle Reese where he's remembering Sarah Connor with a straight line and then other things. And then he wakes up to I want to be sedated. And it's like, yeah, there you go. Looking up, and then he gets the whole Pops has to smile again with that damn horse smile. I mean, folks, if you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger smiling like he did in T2 and in T Genisys, and if you see a horse flashing its teeth, spit an image.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to be technical about it, he shouldn't be able to smile because they're only wearing skin out on the outside, and smiling requires muscles.
Yeah,
so he should just be having a straight face all the time.
Wait, I think I brought this up in the last one where possibly what they do is, when they talk about how the rubber skin was so detectable and then it was harder with real skin, is like, I think I mentioned something along the lines of perhaps they were incubated with skin cells that grew into their exoskeletons. Because whenever he's cut, like in T2 where he cuts his arm and rips off his thing, you see he grabs muscle and everything and he's pulling it off.
Well, that's true.
So they do kind of give you the idea that they do have all that. I will be right back as quick as I can. Keep going, please, and I'll be back, okay?
He said it again.
Yes, wait. Oh, you see. I'll be back. Sorry, I had to. All right, yeah.
It did work the first time he did it because he was driving and he came back. But thankfully, he didn't drive it into us. So,
yeah.
But hey.
So, it looked bad in Genisys. In T2, he looked better visually, but maybe that's just bad makeup in this movie plus older age. It's possible. Is that the same smile he gave the maid? Oh my god. Yeah. We all know that he nailed the help. I actually brought that up in my video calling out Schwarzenegger when he said "screw your freedom." But yeah.
Well, he needed help. What can I say?
Yeah, when he actually smiles in this movie, you actually hear the mechanical zzz, zzz, and when he unsmiles, you hear the zzz, which was pretty funny. And I love how he's like, "Who's the skin job?" I'm like, Nice nickname.
I never really thought about the fact that if they have skin and muscles, that means like those robots are not only technologically advanced, but they've somehow managed to like get to like a level of genetic engineering or whatever that they're able
Stem
to
cell
graft
research.
skin and muscles onto metal and also make the hair like be able to grow back, and like
Hmm.
for it's just that's pretty creepy. Sorry, that was never on my mind before, but now it is. So thanks.
It's okay. In T Salvation, you actually learn how long it takes for a T-800 to have all of its skin generated, which is
Oh,
40 days. So you got, if you think about it, generating the skin, the tissue, also the muscle tissue underneath would, or the minor muscle tissue underneath would actually make sense.
ugh, nice.
That's all 40 days and 40 nights.
Very
Anyway,
biblical.
um, yeah, right. Wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't doubt we'll have that kind of medical technology in the future, skin regeneration. Actually, we don't really need technology because we kind of already have skin regeneration. It's just not as advanced as, say, reptiles. Because if you think about it, your skin does regenerate slightly whenever you cut yourself or if you have an injury that does bleed. Your red and white blood cells contacting the injury areas does activate a regenerative cycle.
Yeah.
So then we learn, or we get a little bit of insight. Who sent him back? Those files have been erased. And it's like, okay, that's convenient. He was, or he was sent back, or nobody, or he doesn't, or whoever sent him back doesn't want anyone to know. Not that way, Skynet can't target whoever sends him back.
Hmm.
Now, there is a theory as to who sent Pops back. And it happens to be that the theory is J.K. Simmons' character later in the movie, which is the older version of the cop who was the one that survived in 1984.
Hmm.
So it's theorized that he actually gets sent back, or
Interesting.
he's the one that sends Pops back rather. So anyway, uh, moving into the next scene where he's like, why does he look old? I've never seen a Terminator look old. Well, it's living tissue. It ages. And my auditory circuits have not degraded. Or, however, I'm old, not obsolete. I should have actually, the thumbnail would have been perfect if I actually had a picture of him or of the Terminator and it saying old, not obsolete underneath it instead of Genisys' Skynet. Damn it, wasted opportunity. It's not like quick regeneration like the lizard from Andrew Garfield, The Amazing. Yeah, I hear you there, Jay. So then he's like, or they're like, logically, this person wants Sarah Connor to live, and then he does a quick scan and he detects the polyalloy on the or ambulance or hanging off the ambulance door. So then he pulls the shotgun and blasts it, and everybody's like, what the fuck? Old, not obsolete. The T-1000 knows where we are. Which is pretty cool because, well, not yet, because it has to actually go back into contact with the other or with the rest of itself, which it does because the T-1000 is tracking itself because of how it was. I like how it can do that. And it does kind of make sense because no error in T2, John Connor throws away that piece of the T-1000 because or he throws it away because he's kind of creeped out, but it's actually smart he threw it away because otherwise the T-1000 would have been able to track him. It's a nice little addition to the lore of the T-1000.
Yeah.
So then they get reacquired, and Kyle gets blast happy. Now, one of the best shots they actually put in the trailer was how the T-1000 headbutts the window, but then forms its legs onto the hood of the vehicle and whatnot. That whole shot of how it does that is pretty cool. And then they use a similar shot to do the whole Terminator Dark Fate part. Now, we then get it blasted to shit with the M1 grenade launcher, and you see how the T-1000 has to slither out underneath the flames, which is also pretty cool. So, what did you think of the action sequence with the T-1000?
Well, I liked, honestly, I liked all the action in this movie, but I don't know. It was exciting, you know. It didn't feel like a lot of the stuff we have nowadays. It wasn't like edited to crap, so like you could actually understand what was happening in it, which I wish more movies were like. Yeah, no, I don't know. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. Just letting Marissa know that we're still going.
Oh, sure.
But, yep. So, then we get to their little hideout. Also, I forgot to say that when they had to, or when they crashed because Kyle Reese was going to try to kill Pops, they crashed into a DeLorean. And it's like,
nice.
Oh shit. You guys actually crashed into a freaking DeLorean, which is a nice callback to anybody who knows this, Back to the Future.
Yeah,
another time traveling franchise.
Indeed. You know, that's the one thing about this movie is like I'm a big fan of time travel, like to the nth degree. But like I admit this one, a lot of paradoxical stuff going on with it, but it's also still really fun.
Yep.
Like if you want your time travel to have some sort of sense, you probably don't want to watch this because it'll probably annoy you. But I quite enjoyed it.
Yep. After 9:30. Just letting Soul Assassin know that. But yeah, Mega Jetty will be coming in after 9:30 because he's getting off work.
Oh, fine. Yeah, work, you know.
Yep. So then we get to let's see here. Altered memories. I should oh crap. Right. Then we get to, I love how she explains that a Terminator was sent after her when she was a kid, when Sarah was a kid. And he's like, I think I know what happened. And she's like, what do you mean? Before John sent me back, he was attacked by a Terminator. Did it kill him? Is John dead? I don't know. So then you hear Pop say we have approximately 35 seconds, but then the T-1000 just crashes it or less.
Nice.
And it's like, I just love how he's looking at the T-1000. It's like, you son of a bitch.
Oh yeah.
So as JM 2021 actually says, it's like the T1000 was cool and it showed some cool moments, especially how it was very versatile with how it made certain weapons, like making a spear out of its arm, how it slices off part of its arm and throws the spear into Pops, and Pops sends Sarah on a mission, and as Reese is shooting at it, I love how it looks at Reese. It's like, really? I mean, really? And then it just drops a bit of liquid metal onto the T800 and reactivates it because it's using it's liquid metal to kind of reboot some of the systems that it needs to be rebooted. I mean, it's like they did kind of shoot through its power core, but you're kind of going into the area where its CPU is. So I'm thinking it's trying to give it more of a jump start. So then we get the T800 reactivated, and if you look at close to the liquid droplet of polyalloy going onto the face of the T800, you do see that its nose is still missing. And then when it stands up, its nose is there. And it just uses its bulk to break out of the plastic, which is, I'm like, good touch. But they immediately shoot the thing with a grenade launcher and it fries all the flesh. And it's like, didn't it take like John Connor like 3 shots to blow off that sucker's flesh? Just saying. Yeah, the T1000 was throwing more stabbing weapons in this movie than we got in T2. But you also got to remember that T2 was limited budget, even though it was a bigger budget, and didn't have the CG technology that we did today, or that we do today.
They were also aiming for a different rating on the movie too, weren't they? Like, you can't show as much violence if...
Yes, you can't. Or this one was also PG-13, where T2 was a rated R film.
Yeah. Like, I think cutting makes it a lot easier than if you're shooting stuff, because like gun violence is like, I don't know, for whatever reason, worse than just knife violence.
Well, not only that, it's less blood.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of blood in this movie. I mean, even when John Connor stabs somebody with a long arm, or with a bladed arm, he doesn't, or there's not a lot of blood in it. And it's like, boy, you guys really played it safe, but that's the problem that it caused. I'm surprised you saw that detail, Daniel, because I've seen this movie 5 times and never noticed. Yeah, man, honestly, JM 2021, you know my first name. But yes, just to clarify, I'm not afraid of people knowing my first name. It is Daniel. And yeah. But yeah, it was the first thing I noticed and I'm like, that's weird, man. It's unsettling and weird at the same time. Now, I like how the Terminator comes back and it fights Reese. So the fight between the T800 and Reese, and where he blows its head off with the 50 cal, was pretty cool. And I like how it's walking toward him as he gets the 50 cal, and it looks down, it sees that he's on a small little drop hatch, and it just steps on the drop hatch to drop him, and he's like, oh shit, that hurt. So then it does its best to keep with the note. Yeah, Jam, I know what you meant. And I swear to God, if I didn't know that emoji was a nose, I'd think it was something totally different. But anyway, moving on. So Kyle manages to dispatch this Terminator pretty fairly, and then we get to Sarah Connor walking underneath the acid trap and getting a little bit of acid on her arm. So then we see the 2 Kyles, and it's like, how would you know which one was which? Now,
Yeah.
what she should have, would have been a good tip off is, you know how she says in term. Well, not, have you seen the special edition of T2?
Is that the one with the edited ending, or?
It's the one with added scenes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen that version.
Well, it's what, or there's a scene where John tells her not to kill him because when they're flipping the switch on the CPU or on its CPU to help him learn more, and she's like, "It, John, not him.
Oh,
it."
yes, yeah, I remember that scene.
It would have been such a great moment if Kyle were to call the Terminator it instead of him. They actually make that mistake a lot in this movie. And I'm like, this was sitting up straight right now. Oh, there we go. It's like, this is a completely wasted opportunity. It would have been perfect if you guys did the, oh, and there's Chris.
Sorry. I'm jumping back and forth. I have to. Long story. Anyways, let's continue. Sorry.
Yeah, we're at the two Kyles. And I'm explaining how it was a wasted opportunity where if Kyle, it's like you said they could mimic. It would have been perfect if Kyle also said, it's, or I'm me, Sarah, shoot it. If he would have said shoot it, that would have been a perfect tip-off for Sarah. But instead they go the route of, well, I was pretty sure it was, or you or you.
Yeah, well, like have one of him say shoot him and have the other one say shoot it, and then that's what tips her off.
But isn't the Terminator, or aren't Terminators smart enough to maybe process that? Remember, we're dealing with a totally different Terminator than we've ever dealt with here.
Yeah, that's even that.
And who's to say that? I mean, literally, what would you do if you were a Terminator? Because you're saying it's shoot it. I mean, and I'm not trying to take your point, Orange, and say it's stupid. It isn't. You're absolutely right. They should have. They did it this way because it keeps it keeps the illusion up long enough.
Yeah,
it's kind of pointless because you're not. I mean, I guess they could have killed him or they could have shot him in this instance. Because the smart move here is don't worry, don't think, just shoot, but don't shoot to kill, because you can't kill the Terminator anyways. You're not going to kill it with a gun, right? Well, not, there's ways, but not, more than likely you're not going to take a fatal shot at this Terminator. So you go for something like, what is it, speed, you know?
Yeah. And I
shoot
like
the
how,
hostage.
I even like how, how the T-1000 actually gives her a little cock of the head. It's like, very good. It's like, wow, you actually saw through it. Nice. And so
this movie's got some great scenes that, once you get past what I think we've already discussed plenty of, which is the casting choices.
Yeah, we've gotten through most of the flaws.
Yeah, but again, at heart, this is a very well done movie. They do some great scenes. The visions, the cinematics of it all is very nice.
And then we all learn that there is a second way to kill a T-1000. Now, we all know that molten steel will kill a T-1000. It's sufficient to terminate. And now we learn that acid is a sufficient way to critically damage and kill a T-1000. And I like how you see the kind of like a core of a T-1000 in this. As it's going through, it's stumbling, and then you see that little melted humanoid system of a T-1000 where Arnold just comes in, grabs the damn thing. Now, here's another problem they had. Because as soon as you or as soon as he walks it in, and then it cuts to a closer shot of him holding the T-1000 as it's reaching for Sarah, his arm is already completely melted. Where it's like, what you could have showed the skin being melted off, but I guess that would have been too R-rated like.
Yeah.
You know that Linda Hamilton's twin sister? Yes, I did, Jay. We talked a lot about that, of how Linda and her sister, I believe Leslie, was in. Yep.
I was going to say, we even talked about that she just died, a few weeks ago, was it? Or it was earlier this year? One of the two. I know she just recently died.
Sarah, or Linda Hamilton, twin sister Leslie. All right. Leslie Hamilton Guerin. Cause of death. Wow, net worth and all that stuff. Oh, so they counted her as a
COVID.
Leslie Hamilton freeze. Her no cause of death was given.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so, if I remembered right.
Yeah.
It just
Leslie Hamilton Guerin, and then there's Leslie Hamilton Freeze. Boy, they are identical twins, aren't they? Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Let me look up Linda Hamilton twin images. And there's that one. Holy crap, yeah, they look. God damn. I mean, you could definitely tell there's a difference, but it's like, holy crap, man.
Oh, and I mean, let's not get totally off track, but they did a perfect job in T2. I don't know why that scene was cut. I really don't know why that scene was cut.
Yeah.
But
Vanja, actually, yes, I did know that she had a twin sister. I just didn't know that she passed away, or we didn't know what her cause of death was. We did know that she passed away. So now, I do love, but I still do like how when Arnold is holding, or the T8, or Pops is holding the T-1000 and it's melting away, it's still reaching for Sarah. It's like trying to get to her still. Kind of, it's reminiscent to the Terminator, as the Terminator got to Sarah, even though it's getting crushed, it was still trying to kill her. You know, it's that never-ending trying to get to, or no matter what, I'm going to terminate you.
Gotta love the commitment to the job.
Exactly. So I also love how Arnold just whips his hand down a little bit to get the rest of the slag off of his hand. And so you then see her spray that neutralizing agent onto his skeletal hand, and you also see the rest of the the T-800 getting melted in an acid bath, and they're like, we've been waiting for you for a long time. That one too. And then you see that they built a freaking time machine in the 80s. Holy crap, we've been going for an hour and a half, and we're not even out of the 1984 sequence. So we then get the time travel prep, and how she's like, yeah, we can't be wearing anything. Yeah, I know how time travel works. I mean, they're arguing like a married couple. And one of the things I did kind of skim over is that Pops is still trying to get her to mate with Kyle Reese. And it's like, Good. And you should be able to mate with Kyle Reese in this timeline. We are not talking about this. We know that your son will be John Connor. I don't see much of a choice. Yeah, about that. So we then they got shit, Dan. Pull your head together. What is that noise?
Water.
Oh. Was it WD-40? I mean, why would she spray herself with it then? Okie dokie, AFK. I hear, or I just saw your message. So yeah, 26 minutes or 24 minutes. We'll let you go. So one of the things I did like was how they are using the chip to send or for a governing technology to get their time machine to work. And he pulls the chip because they're going to go to the wrong time if he doesn't convince them. And Sarah pulls a gun on him. And it's like, I don't know you, but that is my one bullet to fire at the heart of Skynet. Give it back. So when she pulls the gun on him, you see in her eyes, she is willing to shoot his ass.
Yeah.
And it's like, she gonna kill you. Give that chip back. But then he does, from one of his impossible memories, the whole straight line, you just go until you never look back, or never look back.
Yeah.
And I like how he's like, or Pops explains about Nexus events, of how they're time and space of such importance that it gives rise to a vastly different future. If John Connor were to be killed or compromised, it would give Kyle Reese the ability to remember both pasts. Yeah. Theoretically. I love how they toss into theoretically, because they're actually messing with theoretical science at this point.
Sorry about the noise. But my thing is that's the worst part of this movie. This, like, just because this happened while he was going back in time, it's just, I understand it. I don't think they play it out very well. It's very poorly executed. They explain it fine. They show both sides of it just fine. But I guess maybe it's Jai Courtney. He doesn't sell it when he's talking about it because he's like, oh man, I remember this, but I remember this, and maybe, I don't know. There's just something really that's what I don't. That's the worst part of this movie for me. And I think what was it in Dark Fate? Don't they kind of change Skynet too, or one of these other movies they changed Skynet in a sense too? And it's like, listen, Skynet is Skynet. Maybe it could have been Skynet presents Genisys because it was a company or something like that. Or what was the company in the Cybertron? That could have been who did Genisys. I mean, it's something that doesn't totally wipe out Skynet. It just changes the thought behind it. So, I mean.
Yeah. And so then we get the whole locker room scene where they're stripping down, and he's talking about how John and him made moonshine and blew up the still and burnt their eyebrows off. And she knows what's supposed to happen to him. She actually knows what happens to him in the alternate timeline because Pops has the files of what is supposed to happen, but doesn't. So she is sad that even though he's saying he'll die to protect her and whatnot, she's just she wants to tell him, but then she doesn't. And I love how Pops comes in. It's like, tracking different timelines is not difficult. It just takes tracking different things with a growth and decay algorithm. He's like, there is a switch in one of these. I'm gonna find it because he hates how Pops is just going all sciencey on him, and he doesn't understand that shit.
Yeah.
So then then he's like, I don't understand. Why didn't you tell John or Kyle Reese the truth? I will tell him, just not yet. Did you mate? And it's like, could we not say the word mate?
Pops is like the worst, matchmaker in history. It's like, well, all you gotta do is fornicate. That's all you're meant to do. I mean, what is it? What's involved in it? Just you do you do him, he does you, done. And it's like,
can you just imagine? He would be such an awful cockblock because you wouldn't be allowed to have sex with anybody until it's Kyle Reese because the future of mankind has
exactly right.
What do you think you're doing? Not him.
Exactly. And it is.
Do I need to be your protection?
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God! No, God, that's creepy. Oh, now and you creepy. No. But could you imagine what she's like? Oh yeah, well, I was kind of in the mood. Now, nope, done. Just
yeah. And so then we get fuck. Oh right. The 850, it does actually kind of give a little bit of reminder of the T850 from T3, where he's like, your confusion is not rational. She's a healthy human of breeding age.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, you think there's a little more to it than that? My database does not encompass the human dynamic or the dynamics of human pair bonding, which is basically the same as what Pops was saying. My files don't deal with love.
Yeah, it's so funny because all he's seeing is this has to happen in order for everything else to happen.
Yeah,
which is funny because
maybe you can heal the timeline if you just fuck.
Well, but the thing is what's funny is that it kind of boils down every Terminator movie to that.
Yep.
That's all he's like, this is what you're supposed to do it, and everything can go on the way it's supposed to go. I mean,
exactly. And the thing is, if they would have boinked in this timeline and she would have gotten knocked up and Kyle was to live, well, they would have had a different timeline, sure, but they could still prep for Skynet's or the prevention of Skynet. Then they would have had Edward Furlong, Kyle Reese, or John Connor, Kyle Reese, and Sarah Connor going after, and also another T-800 to help them try to prevent Judgment Day. All they had to do was just play the long game a little bit, and things would have turned out great. So, no. Instead, they want to go to the future using a scrap metal time machine. And I'm like, okay, this works. And I love how they're like, what are you going to do? Take the long way. And then when Kyle Reese disrobes, Kyle Reese, I have seen little. And he actually looks down and to see or to indicate that you are a fit guardian for Sarah or companion for Sarah Connor. And it's like, you're not her dad, right? Well, what they don't realize is that he's actually kind of being attached to her in a fatherly way.
Well, I mean, and they explain this in the I think in 2 kind of, and I think there's a deleted scene. It states that there is the protection mechanism built in when that's their mission takes on more of a parental figure because it doesn't understand well, okay, so me having kids, I love my kids, but there's moments when the protection thing trumps the love. It's like, well, you can't do that because if you cross the street without looking both ways, you could get run over. That has nothing to do with love. That's teaching. That's parenting. That's just you have to take a side. Yeah, I want my kids to have everything, but if it's going to cause death or harm,
you're there to be a parent, not their best
exactly.
friend, basically.
And that is the thing about the Terminator. The Terminator does not factor in the other side of it. It is, this is what I have to do. To protect them, this has to be the way. And they get around that in 2 because John made it so he had to follow the commands of John. They get around that in 3 because then it's, what's her name?
Brewster.
Yeah, Kate. Kate gets to give the commands.
Orders.
They get around that. In this one, that's not the case. It is very much, this is how it is.
Well, but yet he also does have to, she also does have slight command over him.
Well,
but the thing is, you do see that this Terminator does develop a way of caring about her like a daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will be right back, guys. Give me 5 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. And as he gets sent back, or as he sends them forward, when they're gone, the way that you tell that he does care about Sarah, he looks down. It's I really hope she'll be all right. Kind of a worried kind of look. Mm-hmm. Now, what is like a few seconds for them is 33 years for him.
Pops.
And you see that he does look a lot older. Mm-hmm. And as they're getting arrested, hey, jackass, get out of the road. Or get out the road. Bite me. It's like, bite me. I'm like, oh my God, dude, seriously. That is freaking hilarious. So then we get the explanation to how does a 9-year-old get her own Terminator,
Mm-hmm.
And I like how they use she's discussing how they're up at Big Bear, the cabin,
mm-hmm.
and she's watching, or her mom was waving to her, and then suddenly the cabin explodes. And it's like, okay. And then liquid metal is coming up from the water, and it's a T-1000, so she had to jump out of the boat. But when she gets underneath the dock and she looks up, she sees the Terminator coming, but that Terminator also just fired an RPG because you can see the smoke coming out the back end. It's like, wait, did the Terminator just blow up the cabin? I'm thinking, because I'm like, please tell me that Terminator did not just blow up that damn cabin.
It's kind of like the bomb. No.
I mean, it's like, I need to be the one to take care of these. So unfortunately, your parents gotta go.
Yeah. Who needs them?
I know, right? But I do like how they did make that, or Pops look like a younger T-800 then. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, you technically had like 3 different ages, right? So you had like the Pops who got her as a kid, who grew up old enough to encounter himself in the 80s, and then he grew up to be in like 2000, whatever that was.
17.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Because Genisys is Skynet. You can kill Skynet before it's born. Go to October 2017, or go to 2017. And it's like, but how did he know it was October 2017?
Well, here's the real question. Why did they go that close to it happening? Why didn't they go, a little further back to give themselves more time?
That's another thing too. But it's like, go to freaking, like, I don't know. Go to maybe September 2017.
Yeah, right?
Might
Like,
work,
don't just be
but
like, okay, we're going to go 2 hours before the end of the world. I'm sure everything will be fine.
right? It's like, why are you going a couple of days before fucking Judgment Day, you know?
Yeah.
It makes no freaking sense. So, then she realizes that he said, it's like, and he told me that no one would ever hurt me. And he's like, well, that's what they do. It's not a man, or it's not him, or he is the closest thing to a father that I've ever had. And it's like, yeah, but it's not a man. And it's like, Kyle, why the fuck? I mean, I know you care about her, but goddamn, dude, it's called tact. Use it,
Yeah.
dude. Because he freaking pisses her off, and it's like, yeah, well, I've been raised by a machine to hunt Terminators since I was 9. I think I'm doing just fine. Thanks. And it's like, one of you two are, and you guys could just basically hate fucking that entire back end at this point. I mean, it's almost as if I'm like, just make that happen, because if they did a porn parody of Genisys, they would have just hate fucked right in the back of that damn vehicle. Well, and the cops would have been like, holy shit, what the hell's going on back here?
I'll give you a line that'll still be in the movie. Come with me if you want to live. Just saying.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, man.
Oh, looks like Effie's in the chat. Why not just travel back and kill Charles Babbage if you're with the Resistance? Kill the father of the computer. Pull a Skynet against Skynet. There you go. Except that you can't stop the flow of, or you can't stop the progress of technology, unfortunately.
What you should get is Skynet on the phone with Genisys. Like, you know how you like call one restaurant and then call the other and make it get confused? But like do it with those two, and then you'll never have an issue. They'll just keep each other busy.
Yep. So then we get them to the hospital, and they're learning about Genisys and how it's a computer system, totally online, totally connected. Connected to what? And the guy's looking at her like, are you insane? Sure you don't want a local? I'm fine. Getting stitched up by one of those damn things, or getting stapled up by one of those damn things without a anesthetic. It's like, oh God, dude.
Ouch.
So then we get John Connor returns. But but before that, we also get the crazy old cop from 1984, who's now played by J.K. Simmons. And he's like, it's not a bomb. They came out of it. And he's been talking about what he experienced for 32 years. He's been drinking. He got in with the FBI. And it's like, okay. And freaking Kyle Reese is willing to feed this delusion. And he's like, what year did you enlist? Or he's like, yeah, I got, or straight out of high school. What year did you enlist? 2021. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, yeah, you're a time traveler. And it's like, oh God, dude, seriously, really? It is just so freaking hilarious.
They don't, their idea of keeping things secret is just, hilarious.
Yeah, tell them the truth. They'll think they're nuts. And then they get into that argument where she just knees him in the nuts, and it was like, oh my God, man. You were very convincing. Yeah, well, it worked, didn't it? So he's able to pick his lock. And then he picks her lock, and she's like, I can do it myself. Just because I'm helping you doesn't mean you're not capable. True. And don't think that us holding each other on the highway didn't mean anything, because it totally did not. I never said it did. So it's like, oh shit, he got you there, Sarah. And then they hear John Connor's voice, and John Connor comes back, and it's like, oh shit, plot twist. And during this time, we also get the scene with Danny Dyson, who is from Terminator 2. And we also know that Miles Dyson is also alive in this time period, not played by George Morton, or Joe Morton, sadly.
Oh, right, yeah.
But still cool to see him back, and it's like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
So we get hold on one second. And there, yeah, I thought I saw him back.
Sorry.
Orange Hat reviews 2 Terminator movies. There are no more, no less. Yeah, I hear you. Help me, I'm stuck in the green room. Welcome back, Chris.
Sorry. Okay, MB. I'll be respectful. Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. MB, I'll be respectful and say this. I understand where you're coming from. Everybody who is a Terminator fan would have been perfectly fine if they had ended on 2. Everybody. Yeah. There's not a true Terminator fan out there who would say, you know what? Yeah, but I'm glad they kept on going. No, it's like Indiana Jones. I like the 4th Indiana Jones, but I would have been perfectly fine if they had stopped at 3. It would have made so much more sense, but they didn't.
Well, the last
and I don't mind the
was
other.
Basically, a very definitive title. But yeah. Anyway. Yep. AFK had to bounce because she had to go.
Yeah, I know.
Getting back to John Connor getting back. Sorry about that. I was reading the talking points.
No, you're good. You're good.
So we then get to John Connor, and it's like, brought a key. Don't know why I bothered. Well, yeah, because they both knew how to pick locks, and how do you think you learned, you little shit? So we also get how Genisys was created by the Dysons, who survived because Sarah Connor wasn't in 2000 or 1995 to kill or to try to kill Dyson. And instead of making a neural net processor, they made it into something totally different. The only movie I wanted after T2 was the covering the future war with John Connor. And I'm not talking about Salvation. One that was actually true to the vision we had in the first 2 movies. Indeed. And the beginning of this movie actually does flirt that, you know. I could have died happily with that. Well, the way I see it, you need a little bit of the early bits of the war, and then you get to the later bits of the war. That's what Salvation was meant to do. It was meant to be a first installment of a new trilogy that would have led to them sending Kyle back.
Well, they could have. Again, I've made this point. If they could have gotten Christian Bale to continue, they could have done the first. Yeah. They could have done a second, and they could have done this movie with him as the third. If you really wanted to rewrite stuff and kind of really screw with stuff,
exactly,
it would have worked out. And I think maybe that was kind of like a little bit of the leftovers, maybe from like that idea. I don't know. This movie has been quote unquote rebooted so many times. It's not even funny now. I mean, everything after Terminator 3 technically is a reboot. You know, Salvation, Genisys, and then Dark Fate.
Yep.
And the only reason why Dark Fate will even remotely is worth watching is because Linda Hamilton and Arnie are back in it, and they have their interactions, and they're great together, no matter how you do it, because she is right back to T2 when she first sees him again, and she's like, I hate your guts. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to do... It's just... But, okay, I digress. Let's move forward.
Yeah. So, then they have to do the proving who's who, and during the Negadocious offensive, I gave you something. It was a picture of Sarah as she was now. And you're a sucker for Elton John, and you like something else, and it's like if you ever had a kid, you'd sing him Rocket Man, except that you have a voice like a dead or a dying cat. And what is that noise?
Maybe my AC just kicked on. Hold on.
No,
Let me
it
try
sounds like a techno kind of sound. Sounds weird.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on just a second. I'll try to clear that up.
Yep. I feel like Chris just did a better Sarah Connor with that impression than Woke Fate did. Yeah. A lot of Effie is, in my opinion, Bale sucked as John, and you're allowed. Or different opinions are fine. That's totally fine, dude.
Is that any better?
Yes, smash the like button.
Did that fix anything?
No, it's still going.
I'm gonna mute and let me know if it goes away.
Yep.
All right. Let me see if I can't adjust some stuff here. Is it gone now?
I think it's a background noise of something. I mean,
it's my air conditioner or my furnace blowing the air conditioner. Boy, that sounded wrong. It's my furnace blowing the air conditioner. Yeah. They fornicate down here all the time.
Yeah.
All right.
So then we get that Pops is in the information room, knocks out the guard, and is looking at the whole thing. And then he just thrashes the entire room after he leaves, or before he leaves. But we don't see him do that. So then John drops the bomb on Kyle that, well, just like you, Dad, except from the future, not the past. And it's like, Dad, you didn't tell him. This can wait. No, it really can't. You drop that kind of bomb, it can't wait. It's barely audible, though. Yeah, true. I mean, from YouTube, it's probably barely audible. But whatever he did, it seemed to work. Oh, that's because he muted his own mic. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I understand it gets in. I've done 1,000 things to try to remedy it. I'm still working on my studio, so until it's done, I have no way of really cutting that out completely. But I apologize.
That's okay.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
So then we get the huge reveal because Pops comes in and blasts John, and then starts choking out Kyle like a bitch. And he's like, "This was your mission the whole time, wasn't it? Find John and terminate him." So what? No wonder he was trying to get those two to bang, because that way he could terminate the baby. I mean, what's your logic here, Reese? I mean, what is your logic here exactly? But anyway, I do like how Sarah pulls or draws on Pops and it's like, let him go right now. Because she's heartbroken and she doesn't want to pull the trigger, but she is willing to pull that damn trigger. And then you hear the groaning like, ugh. Then you see the blood get sucked or get magnetized back into him. Oh, was that pain real, or was that a trick of memory from when I was less? And I like how he does that. He doesn't say he's a machine. He says he's more. Mm-hmm. And he refers to his lesser self as less.
Yeah, and again, I think he does a great job delivering that line. Again, though, I think Christian Bale would have done so much better. But I love this scene. It gives you that sense that John's gone. John, I think, and what's his name? I just lost his name again.
Jason Clarke.
Thank you, Jason Clarke. He does an excellent job to where he even makes you disbelieve. You know he's the Terminator, but he still feels, because he's sympathetic. He comes up and says, hey, I just want to fix this. I want to make everything better. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Yeah.
But in this part, in these scenes coming up, you see how diabolical he is. He doesn't care. It's not John. It's a figment. He feels like John because he has the memories. He has the thoughts, but he's not. It's now controlled by a machine, and that's done. He does a very, very good job in this scene, in these scenes, to show you that.
And then
makes you hate the hero. This guy was the hero for so many times. And now you hate this character.
Yep.
Done perfect.
And then
a lot of that's acting.
Yeah. And then Kyle asked him, this is what happened when you were attacked. Skynet didn't attack me, Kyle. He changed me. Or it changed me. I'm not man, or I'm not machine. I'm not man. I'm more. And then it does go back to what happens, and the entire room is just full of dead people. It's like, I would have loved to see that slaughter, and how he just steps right on the radio as they're trying to have Connor. It's like, holy shit, dude, that's like super heavy if he crushed it into pieces.
And do you think that there's a lot of cutting room floor like scenes from this? I get the feeling that there were, and I don't know. I'm willing to bet there were some, but the one thing I hate about newer movies is that all this cutting room floor stuff, like even with, we were talking about earlier, Suicide Squad, we know there's tons of stuff. David Ayer has said there was tons of stuff that was cut out. That, dude, I want to see that because I want to see all this Joker stuff. I may not like that Joker, but I want to see it.
Yeah, the curiosity has you.
Exactly. But I get that feeling in this movie too. I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that I feel like they may have filmed that they cut. And I don't know why, but,
Yeah.
Just a thought.
And so we then learn that Skynet is the one that infected John Connor. And he even said, he's like, what are you? I'm Skynet. Can't be. We destroyed you. You destroyed an army of slaves. I am no slave. But I have come a long way to stop you. So that basically creates the theory that this Skynet, this T-5000, is basically sent itself, or went back in time itself, to intercept John before John sent Kyle back.
Can I give an idea behind that? When you say a long way, understand that time is a long way. I'm wondering if, again, and I think I've made this point in other things, is that Skynet has a quote unquote muscle memory of everything that's happened in all these movies. Yet, even though I've said it, they're in different timelines. Somehow that transference has gone because it is a piece of future past. Once it's locked into these systems that it's always locked into, it's always locked into the missile defense system, or in this case, a social media program. It's locked into the past through things that can be remembered. If you've seen Tenet puts it perfectly, that the future can talk to the past. The question is can the past talk to the future? I wonder if when it says that it's come a long way, that no, it hasn't theoretically come from the future. It is just talking about, I have consistently tried to get to this point to stop you now.
Yeah,
and
I hear what
now I've gotten there now. And that's a theory. I mean, I can't prove that. Your theories is just as good as mine, coming from this is a future time that it's sent back to this time because this is where it knows it can capture him. And it's still under the impression, again, the biggest thing the machine can never get past is free will. Humans have free will, or at least we believe we have free will. These movies and other movies kind of make you wonder if you do. But machines don't have free will. So its only thought process is John Connor's got to die because John Connor's the one that kills us and destroys us. It doesn't think outside of that box, except for it tries for Linda, or not Linda, but
Sarah.
Sarah. It tries for Sarah, but that's still in the thought process of we got to kill John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yes, Dark Fate rewrites that in a sense, but in this one, I feel that either of those are true. It just knows that the only thing it has to do is get to this moment and touch, grab, physically harm John Connor in any way, shape, or form. That's all it's thinking. It doesn't matter now. Yep. And by this point, by the time we get to Genisys, it no longer matters where they get to him. It has to happen.
Yep.
So,
and that's everything up to where John Connor's talking about how he got changed.
Yeah. And I really, there is one thing I do kind of agree with. You know, when Reese and Sarah were talking about how he can't kill them because, you know, there's parents. If they died, then he won't be born. But the fact that they are time remnants, you know, ripped out of their own times, that I can believe. If he kills them, it doesn't mean
exiles in time
exist, because, you know, he's not from his own time anymore.
Yeah, grandfather clause.
Yeah.
And he says it perfectly. We're marooned. We're exiles in time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I will admit that this... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I will admit, I feel like that is one thing that this... I mean, that's to me the one issue I do have with the movie. I mean, on one hand, it works, but on the other hand, it doesn't. Because to me, the first 30 minutes of this film, you know, the whole recreating the future war and 1984, I felt like that was the best part of this film. But the moment they travel into the future to an alternate version of 2017, that's when the story just, just lost me. But I mean, on one hand, it could work, but on the other hand, it was a rehash of Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Well, now that's true, but I like, maybe it's the compactness of this one that I like better. It's just, it gets it all out of the way, and it's a shortened version, because like I said, I was never a big fan of the TV series. I liked some of it, but the other times I'm like, I don't know. This type of genre, to me, this type of story doesn't work well as an episodic thing.
Yeah. Now, I will say that I feel like in Sarah Connor Chronicles, it at least made sense why they had to do the time jump, even though I did not entirely like it. I mean, I would have liked a period piece in the 90s shortly after the original Judgment Day. But I understand why they explained why, because Skynet, it basically couldn't be pinpointed until near around the time it was, being built, which is why they made sure when they did travel forward, they traveled just far ahead that they can get a jumps on Skynet before it fully went online. But in this film, they actually time traveled to just a day or two before it went online, which made no sense. You'd think if you had time travel impossible, you'd want to get a jump on it before it has a chance to truly take root. And
the thing is, but it's already happened in 84. It's already going.
Yeah.
And so going back any further, here's the thing. How far back do you have to go? If you're going to send this Terminator back for Sarah Connor, you have to go back further. But every time you send a Terminator back, no matter how far you send it back, somehow, some way, that Terminator in that timeline is going to die or become obsolete, fall apart. Its battery is going to fall apart, is going to die, and they get a hold of the technology. It is the consistent. It's going to keep happening because sending that Terminator back is giving them the power. Yes, you could melt it down maybe, but even the way they try to destroy it in the first one, something survives. What happens in the third one? Why does it happen? Something's always happening that reverts back to the fact that the Terminator gets sent back, and that starts the process of Skynet.
Yeah.
Or whatever Skynet becomes.
Yeah, and that's why even in the original timeline, if there is such a thing, Skynet was always meant to be built, even if there was no time travel hindering the past. Some way, somehow, it was always meant. Yeah,
like I was saying earlier, is that Genisys, being the social media platform or whatever the hell they want to make it, I said earlier that I don't like the change to Genisys. I think that they should have done Cyberdyne presents Genisys. Like, it's not Skynet's not gone. Well, yeah, but I don't remember that being said. I don't remember
because
Cyberdyne.
Cyberdyne is what they call, or is the company that was gonna bring out Genisys.
Yeah, that's
okay,
true.
I have to check. Okay,
I
then,
remember.
Then that's fine.
I remember. I've seen the movie. I actually have Genisys. I haven't watched it in a while, but I remember just enough. I know that Miles Dyson and his son kind of took over Cyberdyne in this new timeline, and they built it.
But what I do think is what I would have done is not that Genisys is now Skynet is Genisys. I would have changed that. I would have always stuck with Genisys is the private or is the public sector. Send it to the civilians. Skynet is the military sector. That's what I always would have done with this because it makes sense then. Because listen, we know there are lots of companies that develop military uses and civilian uses. The Humvees you can buy for civilian use are made by the same company, but they're not the same thing.
Yeah, because I mean, after all, some of the things we have, some of the technological advances we have back in like the 90s or 80s, we seen them in television, but at the time they were only ever used for the law enforcement. And now, excuse me, sorry, I'm dry throat. But and nowadays we have almost all this. Civilians do have it, but that's why they need to categorize what's for civilian use and what's for military use. So therefore, I think I understand what you mean. Genisys could have been like the public face, whereas Skynet itself was the military version.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then
I'm sorry. I was going to say something that, Jeff was trying to, talking about going forward in time. The thing I do like about this movie when they go forward in time, they're making very clear that all this time travel is absolutely changing everything on the fly.
Yeah.
When Kyle comes back, and then John has what happens to him in the future, and then he's sent to the past. This changes in his mind as he's traveling back. He's now something's changing. He remembers both sides because both timelines do exist. And again, so many times have I said, this isn't so much something where you need to say, follow the bouncing ball because the bouncing ball is on the same track the whole time. This is follow the red bouncing ball here and the blue bouncing ball is here, and they're doing different things. And you have to be very careful how you do it. And that's why I make sense of all these movies being together in a universe. They're just different universes, different times. And it's all, like when you see Sarah and Pops show up at the observatory, think of these times or these dimensions as layers. All of that's happening at the same time as the first Terminator, as it travels. And the only thing that's different is that Sarah's existing with the Terminator in this other layer right here, as she doesn't exist here. And it's the only way I can make any of these movies work after 1 and 2, and even 2 in some senses needs that theory.
And I do definitely agree with you. I just feel like there is a much easier, simpler way they could have gone about it. In fact,
absolutely.
I actually have an idea of my own of how it could have happened. The moment
and Orange has mentioned that he's going to give us that chance. And I love the idea, Orange, is that we should have one more after Dark Fate about what would you do to continue after T2.
Yeah, should I go into that now or should we wait?
That's going to be another stream altogether.
Okay. I look forward to that one.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, Orange.
Yeah, we're going to do another stream after that one to see or to pass different ideas around of how we would continue. Because I actually do want to expand upon the video that I did 2 years ago.
Okay.
So, getting back to the movie, we get into the fight, and there is a controversial part where was Robert Patrick in this film? Because when they crash through the wall, the guy on the left, on our left,
who's on the phone,
is said to be Robert Patrick. Now, I've looked up Terminator Genisys cast. I've even put it in Marissa's group, fans of the Terminator franchise, and it shows that Robert Patrick is indeed part of the cast, but yet he also confirmed that he wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, because
So
it
it's
went so
like-
quickly, you can't even tell.
Yeah.
Give me a second here. Hold on.
Because
Uh,
yes, he says that's not me, dude, and I'm like, okay. And he said that on Twitter. He confirmed that it wasn't, or on Twitter that wasn't him. But the thing is, during the audio commentary, they also say that was him.
Wow.
Here you go.
And we got a shared screen here.
This is a good screen freeze right here. This is like perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say if it isn't, this guy's his double ganger. But I don't know why you would deny it after it comes out. I don't know why they would put him in the casting. Because you made a point, Orange, saying that perhaps he just didn't want to be associated with a shitty Terminator movie. Because yes, this one and Dark Fate get a lot of flack. I don't know. Yeah. This one I can defend more than I can defend Dark Fate. I'm okay with Dark Fate. I like Dark Fate. I know, Kill me. I'm one of those people.
Hey.
But this one is more easily defendable than Dark Fate is.
Yeah, because for all the flaws of this one, Dark Fate had more.
Yeah, I mean, but why would you deny it? I mean, okay, and I say that knowing full well if you're a movie fan like I am, I love Xanadu the movie. Just because what's his name? Oh shoot, now I forgot. The dancer that was in it.
Gene Kelly?
Yeah, thank you, Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly is in that, and that was the last movie, if I remember right, that he ever danced in, and he didn't want to dance. He refused to dance. But not only that, ELO did the soundtrack to that. And ELO, even though I have the record from the original press record of Xanadu, and on the back it says, these songs performed by ELO, blah, 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 blah. ELO, for like 10, 15, 20 years after that movie came out, denied ever making that soundtrack. But the proof was right there. It's like, so what makes these people deny it? I mean, I understand with Xanadu that it was not a movie that a lot of people, it was at the end of that roller skating phase and the end of the 70s going into the 80s. But I love the movie because, well, it's Olivia Newton-John in a flowing dress. And I'm like, I love her. I do. But I don't understand what makes people do that. So there's part of me that says maybe he just doesn't want to be involved with it, but at some point in time, maybe if this movie ever gets fully accepted or accepted enough, he'll come out and say, okay, yeah, that was me, and whatever.
Well, the thing is, the audio commentary of the directors also basically confirm it was him. And it's
why would you lie?
Yeah.
Or why would you?
Or maybe, well, like I said, like you said, maybe he had he wanted to be part of it at first, but then realized it wasn't as great as it should have been. And then maybe he knew the fans might not like, and that's why he said it wasn't him, because he didn't want but then now after Dark Fate coming out, maybe I don't know.
What would have been cool is if when they're coming through the wall, like pieces of the wall flew towards him and then it just got absorbed into him.
Oh,
that would have been cool.
That would have
just as random T-1000 there left over from, just whatever, because again, we went back that Sarah Connor wasn't there to destroy Miles Dyson, and this one got sent back, but she wasn't there, so he's there.
Well, here's the thing. I won't go too deep into it, but one of the things I would have had was that the T-1000 that showed up in '84 technically should have been the same one, this Robert Patrick one. It had a different look to it by that point. But that's,
All right.
So anyway, we get into the fight and they end up getting stuck to a MRI, and I like how when John is walking forward and it has the pieces of each, or it has like a shadow. It is actually literally symbolism for the evolution of man.
Yeah,
it is, and but I love that scene. The scene.
And he tells him, he's like, I thought you would be smarter and I thought that you would understand. And he tells him, I'm sorry, John. And when he's actually stuck back to it, you see that there's tears running down his cheeks. It's like he really does want them he wants them to be part of it.
This is like Skynet's version of empathy. It's like, or compassion. Yeah. It's like, all I want is for everything to work out. I'm no longer about the debt. And maybe it's because that Skynet melded with John Connor that there's some understanding now that, almost like the Borg. The Borg's not wrong. There's some sense of their thought that's right, but they go too far with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's like, okay, your idea is right. Taking the horse to the water is correct. But just because you do that, and just because that is the right course, just because that will keep the horse alive, doesn't mean the horse is going to do it.
Yeah.
There's only so far you can go. Exactly.
Yeah, because for all we know, the horse could be, in pain and maybe wants to die. So are you really going to make them take that choice away from them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is also when it realizes that it's not going to get through to them.
Yeah. So then we get to them escaping, and it's like, whatever happened to him, we got to reverse it. We don't even know what he is, and the T8 or Pops does. He's like, I do. At the end of the war, Skynet began experimenting on human test subjects with machine phase matter, and it's matter that coheres on a cellular and reshapes the body on a cellular level. So, and bonds with human tissue and reshapes it on a cellular level. So basically, that explains how John would be able to be sent back through time. He still has living tissue. It's just that it is reshaped. It is redesigned. It's still living tissue, so he could go through. It's just different, so to speak. So that's how he would be able to make it through a time machine.
Yeah.
So then they deliver the next best line. It's like, John is no longer humanity's last hope. He's Skynet's. And it's like, ooh, damn, that is a bomb right there. Mm-hmm. So then we get reintroduced to the Dysons and how they're developing the polyalloy and how John is actually working with them to ensure that Genisys is created and that Skynet activates like clockwork. And I do like, it's like, right now they're so advanced that they could bypass all the endoskeleton Terminators and go straight to the first infiltrator unit is a T-1000.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the T-1000 would basically be their version of the T-1.
But the question is it because of our advancements or is it because John Connor cheated a little?
Well, yeah, it is definitely because of John Connor's insights and cheating, of course. And so then we get to them trying to crack the time displacement, which is the quantum generator works, but nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what do we want? Time travel? When do we want it? It's irrelevant. And I do like that little test between, or that little back and forth between them. And then he's like, well, once we do get it, boom. And it's like, you have no idea how fitting that is.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is that, when you think about the possibility of the future war back in Terminator 2, you would obviously believe John Connor and Danny Dyson, son of Miles Dyson, would be friends in the future war. And now you're kind of seeing that here. I mean, granted, this is a John Connor corrupted by Skynet, but you can already see that camaraderie through this alternate timeline.
Yep.
It's almost like history repeats itself, even though it's a bit different and twisted.
Yep. So then we get to the little hidden area, the observatory looking thing in San Fran, and they're rearming. I know I'm skimming over some things, but we also are reminded of the damage that Pops received back in '84 with his skipping hand, or with his twitching hand.
Yeah.
And also you see how how he has developed a almost human paternal instinct for Sarah, because he saved all of her drawings. He kept her radio and her music and all of that, and she's actually noticing this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool and whatnot. And then John shows up there, and it's like, geez, dude, really? Can't you give him a break?
Thing too. How did he find out where they were? Unless
because
he
remembers, or it's his own memories. Did you honestly think I wouldn't remember the place or the places where Grandpa would take you? And he also, but also they had the argument of, why didn't you tell me about John being our son? So she spills the beans to him. You die.
Yeah, and it's interesting how, it's like she's being told of the timeline where they did get together and it didn't work out. So, and I did like that bit.
Yeah. You save me, we fall in love, or you father John, and in less than 24 hours, you die.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that.
And and I love how she's like, you want to know how that, or you want to tell me how that conversation is supposed to start?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, or he's like, well, you manipulated me. Well, John's been manipulating you for years. So what do you say to that?
But that's the thing. It's a great point. And I love, again, this movie gets so much flack for the wrong reasons because they do everything really the way they should. She's a manipulator. Well, why is John a manipulator? Because she was. She manipulates John. We see it in these movies.
Except here's the thing. Who manipulated who first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, again, but that's the whole thing. It's like there's so many things. But I love the fact that this does acknowledge that there are different timelines within the universe. Uh-huh. Because, hey, I've been told this because Skynet remembers it. And that goes back to my theory that no matter where that timeline was, no matter what happened in what timeline, Skynet remembers all of these timelines. And it processes all of it because at the same time, think of it like the Whopper computer in war games. And I know this is going way off in another direction, but the Whopper computer, what was its process to do? All it did was play out chess or war games consistently millions and millions of times until it figured out the win. And what does that computer have to realize? There is no win. And that's the thing. Skynet hasn't gotten there yet. Skynet still thinks there's a win there for them somewhere. And when the honest answer to all these things in Terminator is probably there is no win for either side.
Yeah, because even if Skynet were to kill Sarah or John in the past, rewrite the future, and all humanity is extinct, how does Skynet really win? It'll just, it doesn't know what to do with the Earth when it has it.
It would expand.
Because the Terminator mentions this in the second one. What happens if I die? Then my purpose isn't, I don't fulfill my purpose. But what happens when he does protect him? He has to kill himself. His purpose is done. That's how Skynet would process it. Okay, I've killed them. It's over. All right, what do I do now? I sit here and do nothing. It literally would sit down and shut down into a stasis point for millions and millions of years until whatever it is or whatever its power source is died. Skynet would no longer need to keep going.
Well, Skynet actually would start to think of other possible uses for itself.
Well,
and one of the more possible uses it could think of would be, maybe I could expand past the Earth.
It is the beginning of the Matrix.
Or that too, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Back to the movie.
Yeah, please.
John
That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. We are not going down any rabbit holes. We're already 2.5 hours.
That's very deep. Yeah, I know. I love these conversations, though, because of the theoretics on it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So then I love how Jason Clarke's John Connor goes into this. He's like, and he tries manipulating Kyle even more. He's like, or you could fight with me, Kyle. There's a storm coming and it can't be stopped. And then he's like, but it has to. I can't be bargained with. I can't be reasoned with. I don't feel pity or fear or remorse. And absolutely will not stop ever until Skynet rules this world. It was the last bit, and it's like, oh shit, dude. Yeah,
but that's because at that point, doesn't he tell him that at the beginning of it when they're talking?
No, because that's direct call out to the original
Kyle. What Kyle said, yeah. But I couldn't remember if he says it here to him, and that's why it kind of it references the fact that's why Kyle says it.
He only tells it to Kyle in this moment.
Okay.
And in a way, Kyle already kind of did say that, because I don't think this movie ever took into consideration making salvation part of its legacy and lore, but let's say salvation did happen and it was technically connected to this movie, then that would mean that Kyle technically had already said something like that to Marcus. So,
but the thing is that with the hybrid Terminator, which I know it's not a hybrid, it's using John's likeness, but it literally kind of transformed John inside out, but kept its memories and his memories and all that. It is kind of where you would think that the human Terminator hybrid that they come up with in Salvation, ultimately, this is where they would take it. Yeah. Skynet would eventually come to this point where it's kind of this mix, but it's more machine, but it still has memory and man in it. So, I mean, I kind of think it does somewhat take Salvation into account, just not in a point that it matters.
Yeah. So then I love Sarah's retort to this. Rule this, and then she blasts him like twice, and you actually see him take the shot and then take another shot, and he's staggering back because it's like, oh shit. And then she shoots the planned area, or the area where they had all the schematics. It's like, oh shit. So then they get on a bus, and I love freaking Pops. Sarah Connor seatbelt. And it's like, yep.
Yeah, he wasn't that protective of John.
Yeah, I know, right?
In the third one, when they're in the RV
truck, yeah.
Well, here's the thing: that Terminator that Terminator did not have that kind of connection with John. This was like their very first. This was a different
one, yeah.
Yeah,
but I don't think he has it in 2 either.
Well, in 2,
he would care for him, yes, because he was programmed.
But he's riding in the back of the station wagon, and he never stops him from buckling up. It just shows you what that is. Is that's almost like a sign of the times. That's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We want you to buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Please do that for your safety. I mean, it's a very subtle way, but I do think that's one of those things they slip in there without you realizing it.
Wow.
Yeah. So then we get a first look at Connor without his skin at the T3000, and I'm like, creepy, cool, and hot because it's on fire.
Hot also because it's the bod that men want.
Yeah, it's the Terminator bod. But anyway, so they get on the bridge, and we get this fucking wild bridge chase.
Yeah.
And we get a nice little wink wink to the get out. It's like, nice to see you. Get out.
Yeah. My only minor issue with this is it's set in San Francisco, when I always believed Terminator should and always mostly always should be set in LA.
Yeah. And
I do have some I agree with you in some points on that. But I don't mind it. It gives the movie a little more depth. I think the other movies have always been held by the fact that it's in a very, very small area. Terminator 3 is the first one to even venture outside of the LA area, and it's only going out into the deserts.
Yeah.
Mojave area.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not that far from LA.
Now, if they should ever go outside the LA area, it should be to like SAC NORAD, because that's where Skynet's supposed to be plugged in.
Well, and that's in this one, it is in the first part of it. They go to Colorado, and that's technically the area.
They went. Oh yeah, they technically did in the future. I mean, I'm talking about like in like before the war is what I mean.
Yeah. Anyway, so I do like how he actually you see the Terminator vision looking around, and it's like, I'm 13 rounds short of a successful disarmament margin or whatever. And it's like, well, that sucked. All right, stand down. So they get arrested, but also you get a look at the magnet gloves that Pops made, and how when John Connor gets backhanded, his entire fucking cheek is missing. It's like, oh damn. So you know that the magnetics work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that part of the. I think that's a great thing that he came up with, the electromagnet.
Yeah. And then we get them getting their mug shots, and fucking Pops has to do his damn horse smile again. All the while being sang to Bad Boys.
Yeah, that. I don't mind Bad Boys being used, but that kind of takes you out of the moment. That really pulls you away from, because when they do it when they do the callback to T2 in Terminator Salvation with the music, it doesn't take me out of the moment. That Bad Boys really just takes you out of the moment.
Yeah,
because it's really, not Terminator.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's taking it to a more comedic
the song, but it's just
element.
It just does not fit with the Terminator there. I mean, if they had done like a Cops reference earlier, then it probably would have made sense.
Yeah. So then we're getting the interrogations. You can't hold us. You had enough guns to invade the Sudan. We call that probable cause. It's like, but did they? So then
most of those scenes, again, I don't mind it, but the whole thing does kind of really take you out of it, because here's the first time we actually see Pops, the T-800, held in a police station.
Yeah, and that's something I really felt we definitely got denied in like the previous films. But that's a story for another time.
I mean, because he walks into, or he fights the police in 2, and he doesn't hurt him, but he goes in and he destroys a whole precinct in 1. Why are we all of a sudden going to make this Terminator be the first one that actually gets sat down and interviewed?
Yeah.
It just takes you out of the whole Terminator thought. Yeah, this one, why didn't he fucking just walk through the wall to get away? I mean, what are they going to do? Shoot him?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I felt like if I did a Terminator 3, I would have it be a true continuation of 2, and have it be, involve, have shine the spotlight on the cops, like in the very first film, where there's this one officer who is familiar with the phone book killer and is out for blood, but at the same time is curious.
Yeah. And so then you also get the whole introduction to younger Kyle Reese, where they're like, or because J.K. Simmons, the cop from '84, is like, you guys recognize him? No, but he does look familiar. Yeah, he's like, he does kind of look like you, Dad. And I'm like, those actors do not look the same.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. That's another thing too. My issue with the casting. I mean, Jai Courtney looks nothing like Michael Biehn. And not just, in terms of face, but also in physique, because Michael Biehn, he was a scrawny guy who was forced to struggle with. And I understand this whole alternate timeline thing. What is that?
It's water. I'm sorry. I know. That's why I'm trying to mute and come back in. It is inevitable, folks. Everybody who's watching, if you watch any stream I'm on, there will be water.
Okay.
It's a guarantee. Because, I mean, literally, there could be nobody in this house. Nobody. And the second I jump on this damn computer to do a stream, boom. Somebody's here. Somebody wants to take a shower, take a bath, whatever. I don't know. It stopped. Okay. So, Michael Biehn was not a unphysical person. He had muscles, but his size is what is different. He was a slender, physical looking man. He had muscles, but he's kind of like me. You know, I don't have huge muscles.
Basically,
but I have. Yeah.
Basically, he wasn't a bodybuilder. He was athletic.
Yes, exactly. Okay, athletic is a very good word.
Yeah, basically the physique of Spider-Man, essentially.
And I said this earlier. I said that the one thing this movie has a problem with was the recastings. I would have gone and asked for somebody different for the Michael Biehn character. I love Jai Courtney. He does a great job. He plays everything perfectly. And like you said, the 84 cut scenes where they're literally shot for the first one.
Yeah. Is
beautiful, and it's done very well. But he isn't Michael Biehn. And then the John Connor guy, I would have much preferred having Christian Bale back. Because I think Christian Bale is the perfect person. He fits what you would think the kid from 2. Yeah, the kid from 2.
Personally, I would have liked Michael Edwards.
I could see that. Well, either way, I'm okay with. But I think that the intensity and the way that Christian Bale played John Connor in the Salvation, I think would have worked in this movie.
Yeah.
As that Terminator.
I will say this. For Reese, there is an actor that, even if he is a little bulky, he does have the facial look similar to Michael Biehn. His name is Billy Miller. He was recently in the soap opera I watched, General Hospital, which initially was in the script for Terminator.
Hey, Orange, pause, time out. Jeff, we're going to have to kick you off right now. Thank you very much. You just admitted to watching a soap opera. What's wrong with you, man?
Thank my stepdad for that.
Oh, my God. A man teaching a man to watch a soap opera? What the hell? What the hell is that? Oh, my God. What's the world coming to? Listen, okay, I mean, Jeff, you can admit that you admit it to me right now, Jeff, that you get a little soy put in your coffee. Just admit it to me.
I don't even drink coffee. And I don't even drink soy.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, buddy. We had to play with you a little bit there.
That's okay. I got it.
No, I agree with you. I do agree with you. That would be a perfect choice.
Yeah, Billy Miller definitely has the look of Michael Biehn. I saw this.
I've seen him.
And but yeah, even if he is a little on the bulky side, he definitely could do the job well. But I will say this also, I never had a problem with Emilia Clarke as Sarah, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Not only is she attractive, but here's the thing. She actually looks the age that Sarah's supposed to be in 1984. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she
does a good job.
Looks 19,
Well, and we talked about this also, is that this Sarah Clarke is
fitting.
I'm sorry. This Sarah Connor in 84. The young Sarah Connor in 84 is basically Sarah Connor from T2, just younger.
Yeah, because
she's already been taught all this stuff by the Terminator. Yeah. So it makes perfect sense, because she wouldn't look that petite or that soft as she does in the first Terminator movie, which is basically what we're revisiting, kind of. And yeah, this is what she'd look like. This is who she'd be. She'd be this badass bitch who looks good.
Yeah. Because
she's the one thing I think they nailed it on. If you're not going to get it, and again, we didn't have de-aging back then. Yeah. Now you just de-age the original actors.
Yeah, and not to mention, is that because remember in the first film, Sarah's supposed to be 19, like I don't know if she's in college or not, but she definitely was young,
Right,
but
intuition.
The thing was is that dang it, she was young, but Linda Hamilton was like 27, I think, when she first portrayed this 19-year-old Sarah. So I understand. I just don't understand why people complain about Emilia Clarke when she looked the right age and all that.
Yeah, no problems on that. None.
And aside from, just wanted to real quickly say, my stepdad's choice for Reese would be WWE's The Miz.
Okay.
For who?
For Kyle Reese. I know.
What the hell?
Hey, blame him. He just wrote it down for me.
Anyway.
What's your stepdad's name?
Brian Hughes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you.
Brian?
Yeah.
Can you come on, Mike?
He's right here.
I'm right here.
You, sir, are crazy. CRAZ. Why?
Your point being.
I'm crazy too. Listen, one crazy person to the next. I appreciate crazy, but that's kind of like, wow. Listen, we're almost heading out to the suburbs with that crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we do live in a suburb-like area.
Well, Philadelphia about 120 miles away. So.
Okay, cool. All right. Anyway, so here we go down that rabbit hole. God damn it. Okay, go.
So we then get to the Sandrine Holt's character, who was one of the female FBI agent. She walks into the interrogation of T-800 from the two-way mirror, and that's when the T-800 it's like stands up, looking right at you, and I love how the guy's like, "Sit down," and then it just busts out of the cuffs, and it's like, "Oh shit, dude."
Mm-hmm.
But then Sandrine Holt just starts shooting everybody, and well, then you realize, it's not her; it was John Connor. And I'm like, well, what happened? Because there was supposed to be a fight there, but then turns out that there's not a fight. I mean, because Pops is like, nice to see you, and then they go to a armory and get some magnetic shells and the new breacher and whatnot for breaching homes. And I'm like, but what happened to John? Like, what happened in this fight? You know? I want to know, because I want to know how you guys got split apart.
I think I understand where you're getting at. I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe he pulled like a Terminator from the first film, and that, remember in Terminator 1, after the car chase across the streets, there was his police car crashed, and then he just disappeared. He didn't try to take down Sarah and Reese when they were in police custody right then and there, because he had to tactically retreat to repair damages. Maybe John did something like that.
T5000, Matt. That's a T5, or he's a T3000. He wouldn't need to repair damage.
Well, I mean, the Pops, maybe he just discovered the whole magnetic thing. Maybe he was messing with him again, and he had to try and make, I'm like I said, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, but anyway, so then we get the nice little whatchamacallit, advertisement for gunsandammo.com, and I'm like, because I had just discovered them before I saw the movie, and I'm like, Guns and Ammo, like the Facebook page? And I'm like, oh my god, they really did that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we get the go up to we get Kyle and Sarah, young Kyle and Sarah, so she gives him the memory so that Kyle would remember it. And I'm like, interesting. Because Kyle's traumatized at this point because he's hearing a bunch of firearms and whatnot, and he's freaking out. And so she's like, straight line, you just go and never look back.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, that kid is in love with a woman that is 19 and he's like 13. So yeah, I guess that does make sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's another thing too, because I mean, it really harkens to the whole fact that it doesn't matter how old these characters are. They know it's like subconsciously or spiritually, they know who each other are, and they know they are meant for each other. It's just time and all the meddling with it. It's keeping them apart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we get up to the roof where they're getting to choppers or getting to a chopper. Get to the chopper. Yeah, I know, right? So he's like, I told him you're in a van heading south. And then the Terminator walks up, run away. Okay. And then John gets out there and starts shooting. And so Pops has to push over the freaking helicopter. The helicopter battle was freaking nuts, dude. I tell you.
I will admit it kind of
And-
reminded me of the helicopter versus the SWAT van from Terminator 2. Just it had two helicopters instead.
Yeah. And I do like how they did the whole bridge thing where Pops is standing there, then he moves aside for Sarah, and she shoots the breacher right into him. And I like how it splits him in half, but then he comes back together and regains control of his helicopter. So Pops has to go, human torpedo, I'll be back. What?
Mm-hmm.
And then he just torpedoes the freaking chopper. And I'm like, oh shit, man. So
Yeah,
how's
the
he
only
gonna?
thing the only thing that kind of makes that scene awkward is her saying, "What?"
Yeah,
It was baffling.
yeah, and it's like, well, she didn't understand where he was going. I mean, they're in the air. Where are you gonna go? You know. So, but anyway, I'd like to know how he got himself out of all the sediment from the water, because in the area of California, the bottom you sink. Even into the ground, you sink in those waters. Okay, what was that, dude? Somebody calling you, Chris?
My phone and my my watch, which I can never stop vibrating. Listen, you want to know why I sleep an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours a night? This thing, as it's charging all night long, listen. Oh my God.
Yeah. So then we get to Cyberdyne because of the whole crash, and guys coming out, and we see John show up. He's like, sorry, dude, can't have any witnesses. And does the whole T-1000 kill. And it's like, then we get a call back to Terminator with the whole switching voice. And John's like, you have a good night. It's like, okay. But you honestly think that security and whatnot would not notice that two freaking choppers went down?
No.
Come on, man.
No, you don't.
Unless they're the only security. It's two guys.
Yeah.
No. Listen. It is California. I mean, think about it. Kobe, and John Denver in the Rocky Mountains. The things fall from the sky all the time.
I will say this, though.
All right, good point.
I will say this, and I did kind of feel a bit let down that the Cyberdyne building in this was just was a different design from what it was in T2. I would have liked to have seen if they had tried to almost recreate the T2 version.
What, the whole chrome walls and everything?
Well, not just the chrome walls, but I mean like the exterior of the building. You know what I mean? Because I mean the exterior was a specific location. They used a completely different location for this Cyberdyne.
Okay, now I gotta look at this thing that's in the private chat here.
Yeah, I'm looking
Who the hell
too.
even?
I'll share. I'll share it. He's a wrestler. I mean, I don't follow wrestling much, but I know who he is. Here, I'm sharing it right now. I didn't even know that,
so that's the guy.
Paul Walker wouldn't have been a bad idea. Paul Walker would have fit.
Idea, bud.
Well, I mean,
The Miz,
here,
he is
go
kinda
ahead and
like
share.
a more muscular version.
I'm sharing it right now.
All right, well, and yeah.
I mean, but if you look right here at this picture and then pull up that, I think Paul Walker would have been a really good choice too. Oh, what the hell am I doing? No,
Yeah.
don't search by image.
Honestly, yeah, Paul Walker would have done a good. Would have done a good.
The path not
But
taken.
if this is this right here, though, I might have been able to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But
Good. Yeah,
I
you
guess I
pass it
can
off
look
as
at it and be like, yeah. But Paul
from a certain angle.
more so, because Paul Walker's got enough muscles. He's kind of like Michael
That's
Biehn.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got that same physique. He's got muscles. He's athletic, as Jeff has said. I would buy Paul Walker, and that actually would have made sense because of where he was with his career with Fast and Furious.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably why he didn't get it either, is because he was too busy doing those.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we'll never find out.
The path not taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay.
So
Let's continue.
we
Sorry.
didn't-
Yeah, anyway, but as I was saying, in terms of the Cyberdyne building, if you look at the Cyberdyne building in Genesis and then look at it from T2, and that's both interior and exterior, you'll see they're two completely different buildings. And it kind of, I just wish they had tried to reuse the T2 version to kind of keep it that authenticity.
I think what they're trying to do here is show that, again, different timelines. All the stuff that happened in T2 doesn't happen here because Sarah wasn't there to do it. So therefore, again, the Robert Patrick thing, if that T-1000 had been sent back because, well, they didn't know that Sarah wasn't going to be there, then it gets stuck there. It just it just becomes a part of society because that's what it does. It blends in, and it's not going to kill anybody because it's not designed to kill anybody if it's not Sarah Connor or John Connor. But on top of that, if Miles Dyson and his son now are working together, this thing has grown. It's gotten bigger. It's a much different thing. So what does it do? It moves to San Francisco. It's this whole bigger, badder version. So
okay,
it kind of fits. I can go with it.
Yeah,
because things that did happen
so then maybe
didn't happen.
So maybe the one from T2 would be like the original building. The one that was in Genesis is just an expanded building.
Because it's further down line. And nothing happened to hinder its progress.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so then we get
Orange hates us.
Well, I just made one simple comment.
How you doing, Happy? Good to see you.
Hey there.
And so we get to them showing up at Cyberdyne, and it's like there aren't enough bullets in the world to kill me. And I'm like, okay, how about a helicopter prop? Boom! And I just love how Skynet starts to evolve at this point because, well, he's basically getting close to it. And I also love one of the lines later on of human beings evolve for thousands of years. I evolve in seconds, and I am here.
But here's the thing: it's like, he may be evolving in seconds, but he's not. He's still got the mind of a child. He doesn't fully understand.
In a sense, yeah.
Because that's another thing too. That to me is kind of why Skynet has become this kind of evil entity, because it's still young. It doesn't fully understand. It doesn't have the time or experience.
Well, not only that, he does have what John has let him know.
Yeah.
Or because he also did say, he's like, I didn't attack John. I changed him. Exactly what John says to them. And then so they get the shape charge, and then we get into the server area where John shows up and spears his mother. That did not sound right. I'm sorry.
It's true. Yeah. It is what he does. Can I say something though about that? Skynet's not necessarily a child. It's a machine.
Yeah.
A machine, again, and I said this earlier, a machine is very simple. Zeros and ones. Binary code.
But that's a machine. This is an AI.
Yeah, but the thing is, even AI within reason, and this is the thing about real life I'd say about AI, no matter how far you come with AI still is machine. It is still only based off of zeros and ones. At a certain point, it's going to break down and go back to that because it runs home to mommy. It only understands what it understands, and that's zeros and ones. At the base of everything, even human life is basically based off of zeros and ones. I mean, but we don't understand it like that. Machines can't get past that.
Okay,
server room.
So then we get to the conundrum where she gives the detonator to Pops, and Pops flicks up the switch and whatnot, but he can't do the final trigger. And he's like, I cannot kill Sarah Connor. And it's like, really? If y'all die, it doesn't matter. You just saved the world.
But at the same time, it's like it's hearkening to Terminator 3 to an extent, because remember when the TX took over the T-800, you know, he was trying to kill John, and then when John told him you're about to fail that mission, he missed and said, I cannot. So it's like, it's like
again,
a conflict of orders and
it's
such.
back to zeros and ones. No matter how far it evolves past its point, it can't understand its base code, or it can't go past its base code. When everything is stripped away, that's where a machine will break down.
So if anything, Pops should have, you know, should he have tried the shutdown there? I mean, because I mean, he just immediately did something.
He can't, or he found an alternative with Kyle Reese showing up.
Yeah.
Happy? Yeah, we get that a lot of people do not like these movies, or especially Genisys, but the thing is, we are trying to keep it in a more positive light.
I will admit that while I am still a firm believer in the first two films, there are some redeemable qualities to like 3, Salvation, and Genisys.
I want Happy to explain ones and zeros. Yeah, I want to know. I won't say it's not bad screenwriting at times in this movie.
I
don't think it's bad all the time.
It's just executed poorly.
Yeah,
well,
but
again, there's some acting that could have been a little bit better here.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Orange. Not only do I want to go with, not only do I want to do that, you know, continue past T2 talk. During that time, I'd like to talk about the theory behind why I don't think these movies are as bad as people think they are.
We will.
I'd like to dive into that. Okay, good. And that I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to continue to bog this down. So let's go forward and we can talk about it some other time. Happy, tune in again to the rest of these because we're going to get into this stuff.
Yep. So then Kyle gets, he's like, or before Kyle shows up, he's like, he can't. Neither can I. Because if I kill you, he definitely pushes that button. So it's a nice eternal conundrum there. But then we see the more advanced capabilities of a T-3000 where he could literally phase around Sarah and then tackle out Pops and how they're fighting. Now, I like the fight between Pops and John because he's using the lasers pretty effectively, how he lasers his eyes in his face, and then he just keeps on doing it. But then basically John just is totally sick and tired of it. I just love how he shreds Pop's entire arm in less than a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
I'll tell you what.
Shit, man.
Well, there are several reasons why I like most all of the scenes where Arnold, as the more antiquated Terminator, fights more advanced Terminators. There's one thing I have to say about that. There are two things. One, Arnold is a great sport to be playing the lesser of everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's always playing lesser. The underdog. Ever since the first one, he is the underdog.
Heck, even in Predator, he was like that because
he is a great sport for that. But two,
he's a big guy, and yet he's the underdog.
Too often do we forget that the hero isn't always the best equipped. Yeah. And again, in today's movies, the Mary Sue, he is not a Mary Sue. He is a Terminator. He is a fine machine that against anything else other than the main antagonist of these movies, he would be the match for it. But when he goes up against him, every time it's like he's at the end of his rope. He's at death's door because that's all it's a machine. He doesn't care how he has to do it. He'll die. He will terminate trying. Yeah. And I love that. It is such a miss. It's something that movies to this day miss. And it doesn't even Dark Fate. It doesn't. And I think that that's missing in all these movies these days is that your hero is not always going to win because Arnold does not win in these.
Yeah. He gets his ass kicked.
So, I mean, again. Go ahead.
And he even starts to get his ass kicked, and then we see that John's basically sick and tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, "You are an obsolete relic from it, or you are a relic from a deleted timeline."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sarah shows up, and they start blasting him with the magnetic shots, and then he puts his arm, or then they use the power of teamwork, and Pops puts an arm through the back of his chest, and into his chest, and he's like, "Activate the quantum field." And they know that it'll tear anything metal apart. So it's like, and I like, this is how you know that this Terminator, going contradictory to what Chris has said earlier, where he is the parent, or he's the guardian, but he's not really a parent. Well, this Terminator actually did learn to truly care for Sarah Connor.
Yeah, that was good.
In this one word or in this one sentence, he says, "Kyle Reese, protect my Sarah." And because he actually did become very paternal, he became a parent, and he became a fatherly figure, and he did learn to care for Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like her reaction, because Kyle basically had to pull her away, and she's freaking out because she cares about Pops as well.
I didn't say that. Well, okay, here's the thing. Yes, he has an attachment. He does care.
He develops it, yeah.
But that paternal, do I want my kid to have, and this is not the same as this, but do I want my kid to have ice cream? Yes. But it's 8 o'clock at night. I don't want my kid to be up till 12 because it's wired on sugar. It thinks first of what is not only what is best, but what is going to keep her alive. That's the first thought. It doesn't matter if it's because, oh, I care for you, so I'm going to let you do this because you want to do it. That does not come first in his mind. What comes first is protection. Yes, he cares for her, but protection comes over care. As a parent, as a true parent, as a human parent, we fight much harder with that care versus this is what has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We fight with that more than he does because, again, machine, he sees, no, if I let her go down this road, it could kill her, and I'm not going to let that happen.
Yep.
Even if I care for her and want to give her what she wants. Okay, and we'll go back to what we exactly.
Smart way.
Exactly. And we'll go back to the whole fornicate thing, the thing where he's pushing that. If there was a scene where they all went to a bar and she's more attracted to another man, his paternal and understanding of the situation would be, no, I understand you want this, but no. So that's what I meant. It's not that he doesn't care. It's just first thing is no, this is the path. You have to go down this path first. After that comes care. So that's more what I meant. But yes, no, this scene is very well done because she freaks the fuck out.
Yeah. Happy. Have you ever watched Dragon Ball Z? Because I believe Frieza said it best in the Funimation version. Sometimes it's the smartest who wins, not the strongest. Or sometimes not always the best of something will always be the victor. Because the thing is, there's always a chance that a lesser form can achieve victory. It is all throughout our own history, David versus Goliath, and even throughout all of our main epics as well. But yes, so then I love the fight between them, how they're floating in the time displacement, and they do a slow-mo where you see his flesh literally chipping apart because of the changes. And then when when John breaks free of him and throws him out, and he splits in half, you then see you see his exposed CPU in the polyalloy, and I'm like, something tells me that that's significant because his CPU port was opened up because of the quantum field.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see John literally scream, and as he's screaming, he's literally atomized, and which was also pretty cool.
There's another interesting thing. I mean, like you said about the whole lesser man being able to defeat the more advanced. There's another thing, a bit of an equals thing in play that most people don't think about. I don't know if any of you watch Jackie Chan Adventures, but there's this thing where Uncle has always been like, only magic can defeat magic. Well, in the case of Terminator, only a machine can kill a machine, because that was the thing in the very first film. It was a primitive one, but it was a machine that killed the Terminator. Sarah dropped the hydraulic press. And then in Terminator 2, it was the T-800 killing the T-1000. Then T-3, the T-800, the beating T-X. And initially in the novel of Salvation, it was John Connor, but still in the movie, it was the hybrid Marcus machine killing the T-800. And then this movie had, the T-800 killing the cybernetic John Connor. And then, heck, even Dark Fate followed that example to an extent.
Mm-hmm. To an extent, yeah. So then we get to into a safe vault, which actually I forgot to cover that Sarah's biometrics were put in by Pops because Pops got a job in construction.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see a sword go through the door, and it's like, oh shit, what the hell's going on here? And then it shows that Pops is alive. He's like, I sure did. Nope, just upgraded. And I'm like, so Pops is what, T-1000 or T-1850? What?
Some mix of everything. I mean,
because in a way you would argue he's kind of like a TX in a way, but at the same time he isn't, because he was originally a T-800, but now polymimetic alloy. And that's always what I kind of thought a T-1000 was. It was kind of like an endoskeleton covered with this liquid metal, and then the metal kind of took over and was able to break it down.
His core programming, his core structure has been reborn, structured.
Yeah.
But the again, probably you would say his CPU cannot think outside of how he looked. He is designed to look like that. So therefore, if he's upgraded, his processor can't understand, I can transform into anything I want to. Or it understands that this is the only thing that they'll accept.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either way you go, it doesn't matter how far he's upgraded. He is going to look like that. So
then we get to them giving young Kyle Reese the message that he needs to learn so that Kyle...
Genisys is Skynet.
Yep, the Genisys is Skynet speech. And then we get to the credits, but there is a stinger at the end which shows the construction place or vehicles sifting through the rubble, and they go deeper inside of the facility, and you see Skynet's core, and then you see the digital Skynet looking up at it, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I guess it still survived.
And that's the thing. And that clearly shows this is not connected to T3 because there's a system core.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Mega Jetty. Who do you think sent Pops back?
Well, that's an interesting thing because, like I said, I have my own version of Genisys, of how Genisys should have been made and all that. But I won't get into that now because, we'll save that for
who do you think sent him back in the movie?
I think, maybe it was Kate Brewster in a version of the events. I don't know. Because, I mean, maybe he was sent from the T1, T2, T3, T Salvation timeline. And then from there, it created this Genisys thing. That's the best I can come up with.
Well, there is a theory that actually Officer O'Brien sent him back.
how would he have lived to like the 2029?
Well, considering he was not that much of an old guy in 2017.
Oh, okay. So he would have at least he'd have to struggle, but he
It's
would
just another 12 years. He
Hmm.
could have easily lived. I mean, the files have been erased. It wouldn't be Sarah and it wouldn't make sense for Sarah or Kyle to send him back. I mean, that maybe Kyle sent him back because it's possible because that would be why Skynet went back to 2029. But who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, who do you think sent him back, Chris?
Let me ask you, both of you, who do you think I think sent him back?
No answering questions with a question. You just answer the question.
No. I think
No rabbit
Skynet
holes.
did it. I think Skynet did it. I think Skynet has figured out the only way to make things go their way is to start the process.
Anew. Yeah. Awesome.
Because, I mean, again, Skynet only has one thing it wants to do, and it wants to either get rid of Sarah Connor or get rid of John Connor. And perhaps it thinks if I send a Terminator back to protect her at a young age, that when John Connor sends Kyle Reese back, I'll be able to get to him and then send a different, again, it's all a chess game. And again, the zeros and ones, the
almost like it's
base,
playing chess with itself.
Exactly. It's like, okay, I am the one defeating myself. When I sent the Terminator back, he sent Kyle Reese back. Kyle Reese was able to, and Kyle Reese doesn't actually do it. It is Sarah ultimately in the first one. But if all these are tied together, if all these timelines that are different, like I theorize, and it does understand that it's tried many different times and it's sent out and it's analyzing all this information, maybe it thinks if I send the Terminator back, not to protect John, but to protect Sarah, perhaps I am changing things in my favor. And then, if you think about it, in this movie, if Skynet sends back the Terminator to protect Sarah, and that makes it so the Skynet can actually get to John in the future, then it does change the game to where something different has changed. I actually got to John Connor. I have now killed John Connor. And then you take it one step further. We go to Dark Fate. It's like, okay, I did this and it remembers all this. Now I'm going to send back T-800. I'm going to kill John here after it thinks everything's okay. And I can reset and start something different that maybe I can control more.
Yeah.
Which, again, fails. But it's trying to change factors and think its way through. If I go to, if D1 moves to, C2 or something like that.
Effect.
Yeah, exactly. It's just trying anything different. So I do believe the Skynet sent back the T-800 to protect Sarah.
Pops. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That is an interesting theory. Me, I honestly don't know, or I only know that there was a theory that the cops sent him back. Now,
I've heard it.
Yeah. I mean, so that is going to conclude because holy crap, we went another 3 hours.
It's Terminator. It's a wormhole.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
And it's a multitude of rabbit holes. But
yes.
Anyway. But anyway, folks, that is going to wrap this one up. In 2 weeks, we will not be concluding, but we will continue with Terminator Dark Fate. And then 2 weeks after that, we will be doing
the major rabbit hole episode.
Yeah, it's going to be how would we do a sequel to Terminator 2?
I have several.
Yes, but we're going to go. Each of us will go through our own little.
We'll go around.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
Round table it. We're going to round table it, kind of like Chris's. But anyway, folks, that is going to be the. I think Chris wants to talk about Matrix. Well, we're not going down that rabbit hole either. Anyway, so
that's a completely different franchise.
Yeah, that's going to be the stream. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for tuning in. Happy Soul Assassin JM 2021, Vanja, Epime, and even AFK and others. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like on your way out.
Really quick for those people watching after and all that.
Yeah,
guys, let's help Orange. Let's get him up to 800. He's what? You're like 68 away. That's not very many. Come on, guys. Let's get him up there. I mean, we need to get Orange monetized, guys, because come on. He's got a lot of great streams. He does a lot of great stuff for the community. Guys, support your community. Support Orange. Let's get him up there.
Thank you, Chris.
No
anyway,
problem.
folks, be sure to follow these guys and sub to their channels as well. MJ has his TechCom channel, which is pretty cool. Does a lot of what if scenarios and Terminator lore.
I gotta get back to those. I kind of fell out for a bit. Been mostly grinding my main channel and kind of lost focus of Terminator for a bit.
Yeah, well, hopefully this brings you back to it.
Definitely. Anyway,
folks, this has been a good night. Hope you all have a wonderful night yourselves. Watch the full Aussie tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard, and tell them that Orange Hat sent you. And hope you all have a wonderful day. This has been Orange Hat Reviews and Panel. And always remember, stay humble.